any drop prints today, so hopefully all is well. Not exactly sure what happened yesterday, but we are back at it today. Bunch of stuff we're going to be looking at today, guys. This will be a big one here as far as watching AMC puts. Just seeing if there's anything here that I absolutely want to take off this board. I'm going to move this. I want to be watching how AMC reacts to want to see how it reacts. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I think AMC is going to hurt on this news. That all that is left is Wonder Woman. It is going to be a very interesting day today, ladies and gentlemen. As far as the election results go, North Carolina and they're saying that Biden has pulled ahead in Pennsylvania, guys. Expect there to be an immediate, well, there's already a lawsuit filed. There's 2 lawsuits filed in Pennsylvania, but there will be a recount demanded as well by Trump now that he has the courts allowing for him to oversee what's happening. So expect there to be an immediate recount requested, especially with the margin of error. Neither of them are over 50%. The gap is going to be tight. Less than 1% for sure. So there definitely will be a recount in Pennsylvania, guys. Georgia and North Carolina, they're all just too damn close to count. Actually, North Carolina, maybe not. North Carolina, Trump is over the percent necessary. So, are you a millennial motivating people or a boomer motivating millennials? I am a millennial. I'm a cusper millennial, but I'm a millennial, and I'm motivating all kinds of people, both boomers and millennials and Gen Zs and all kinds of things. Pig Z1, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Right now, I'm trying to motivate some tendies out of the market, though. So let's see. I'll get the Marbies up and going here. This is very early stage stuff. They don't even have a methodology in there. How far do I see ACB going? It's going to be really tough to say where the top is on this thing, guys. Very tough. ACX, let's see here. ACB, I should say. ACB. ACB is up to 827. So my $6 calls for November 20th are looking we will see. Yeah, there are lots of those out there. iPix is another one of those that has like a 97% viral load decrease, and it's an interesting one because the registered biocontainment labs for the government have been looking at it for 6 to 8 months. So, yeah, ACB is just gonna run here because Pennsylvania has flipped for Biden at the moment, which has people almost 100% certain that it is now going to be a Democrat Oval Office. Um, Now, granted, there will be lawsuits and recounts and all that jazz, but right now, that's kind of what we're looking at. So Bitcoin's rising, Mara will rise as well. Wader is maintaining that over $3 line. ACRX is down, guys. This is a buy the dip for me. End of the month, military spending is going to come in, so that'll be a big one for me that I'm watching. But yeah, ACB guys, 848. It's up 30% pre-market, and most likely will continue to run. ACB, go back 6 months, it was up around 15. I expect it to go to at least 10. Expected to go to at least 10. If Biden gets announced, this thing is just going to run. I may actually move some things around and take some profits on certain things and move the money around. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll play that by ear. There's a lot of very interesting plays here. But with that being said, we should head into a marble. Hold up, just let me pick the map here, and then you guys will be able to do your play thing. I'm not sweating ACRX guys at all. I will run against you again today, guys. Go ahead and hit play. Winner gets to pick which stock we watch going in the market. Yeah, with ACRX guys, their earnings, they were up 129% year over year. In my book, that's a positive thing. They also have 2 new sales teams selling into Q4. Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. Without further ado, let's hit start on this thing and get the ball rolling. Oh, Cedric, you did get in there. It's a small race today, ladies and gentlemen. We only have the 7 of us in here are fighting it out. Cedric is in the lead out the gate. Hope he doesn't go too far in that one direction, though. You don't want to be coming out of that pipe too fast. Smash Ice and I are just watching the rear. Cedric, look at Cedric go. He wants it into the hamster ball of doom. I don't know that there's a way to get cucked on that one. These poppy things can cuck you for sure, though, when we get there, so we'll see. Round and round we go. Who figures out how to get the hell out of there? Nobody knows. We are hard stuck in here at the moment, guys. Oh, Stovey, first out. There goes Stovey. Just want to make sure nobody else gets popped up here. Oh, Smash Ice. Bye, Smash Ice. Those hammers of doom over there are not looking good. I kind of hope my character goes right. But we will see. Cedric is still in the lead here. Do you monitor YouTube chat, by the way? I do. Yep. Yeah, I see them all. Usually Fury shows up over on YouTube and hangs out with us there. But yeah, I do watch both chats. Eric is going the other way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see which one wins here. Cedric is through that initial pipe. Oh, there's hammers on both sides. This is not good. These hammers actually do anything? Do they hit you? I guess they can hit you through that thing. Okay. So Cedric up the tube, down the tube, up the tube. Eric and Cedric neck and neck. Who's going to get it? No hammer's going to hit you? Oh, Eric got hit by a hammer there, but he survived. Oh, bye, Eric. Cedric lives. Cedric wins. Cedric lives. Cedric wins. Bum, bum, bum. Congrats, Cedric. I don't know why it's saying that you haven't won yet, because you did. You totally won. There it is. Cedric with the winner. Too many hammers. What are you going to do? Cedric, you name it, man. Whatever you want. What are we watching heading into today? It definitely was rigged, and that's fine. What's it going to be, Cedric? What's it going to be? ACB? No. Go Colgate. Colgate. Anonymous gifted Cedric 6661 tier 1 sub. Congratulations, Uber. Ooh, interesting. We haven't watched Uber in a while. Uber, I am fine to watch actually because if Uber did this, I'm excited to see what Waiter will do. ACRX, what happened? So ACRX guys, they were up 100 and hold on. I'll give you the actual number here instead of me just pulling it off the top of my head. ACRX So ACRX was up 130% year over year. Unfortunately, the consensus forecast on ACRX was that they would be up 300% or 250% year over year. So the consensus was during COVID, during one of the worst times for the economy ever, the consensus estimate was that they would do 250% gains year over year. You guys can make your decision on what you feel is feasible with that. I know that for me, when a company shows that they have through COVID 130% increase year over year, they are doing the right things. On top of that, knowing that the earnings wasn't necessarily the play. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that that's Evan Seigerman. Evan Seigerman seems fairly confident, and I'm almost positive the Credit Suisse play on this is talk dog shit on this thing right now for the next year and a half, build a position, and then he will flip his position and analysis on this in Q1 2022 to a hold. In Q3 2022, he will say it's a buy, and he will come out looking like a genius. In my mind right now, guys, what we have is at the end of the month, we have 130% year over year growth. The dip does look viable. And this is my opinion. Zimmer Biomet is selling now actively. They've got 30 to 40 sales agents that are actively selling this thing. Zimmer Biomet crushed their earnings. They did a phenomenal job. We've got the U.S. Army contracts coming in. We've got the Department of Defense contracts coming in, as well as I showed you guys there's a massive opioid shortage. So I am not sweating ACRX at all. Not in the least. Yeah, yes. It was 90%, 70% of their total revenue was repeat customers. 90% of the customer, 90% of original customers were repeat customers. So of that 70%, 90% of that 70% came back for more. Um, so 70% of their revenue was from repeat customers, which means that they did these numbers really, really well on pre-existing sales, returning sales. As the two new studies come out over the next 2 months, Space did announce their launch date. That's true. They did do that. They narrowed the window. They didn't give us a specific launch date, but they definitely narrowed the window. So we do have that locked in. There was a range of dates they provided. So We'll be looking at that. We're going to be looking at Disney today, guys. We're going to be looking at, and not so much Disney for Disney's sake, but AMC. We will be looking at space. We will be looking at Waiter. And we will be looking at ETM. Entercom did beat, by the way, guys. Waiter, we have yet to see their earnings. Projected earnings.
Hey, Millennial, how bad is my audio?
It's bad, dude.
Yeah.
What?
It's bad.
It just lots of road noise.
I'm trying out noise suppression. How's it?
It's better, but you can still hear it.
Next Mandalorian episode has dropped.
And Palantir said, let's go again.
We go again. We go again. We go again. Yeah, I mean, so the estimates were all over the park on ACRX, guys. The high was 11.85 million. The low estimate was 1.4 million. So for the analysts that are on this and being realistic, they came pretty close. 1.4 million was very close. Anybody that suggested that this might be 12 million in revenue was expecting a 1,000% increase year over year. Obviously, this wide range, it's 11.85 million to 1.4 million, is what drove this thing up to having an unrealistic consensus. That's all that happened here. And if I had to point the finger at somebody, I'm going to say that the analyst that threw that in was Evan Seigerman. So here's a guy who's offering a sell analysis on ACRX, while at the same time demanding that it do 1,000% increase year over year, which is horseshit. It's horseshit. But 'tis what it is. Year ago sales, $475,000. Biden is leading in Georgia and Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is going to be so small a margin, and both of them are under 50% of the vote, that there will be an official recount, and you better believe that Trump is going to have somebody watching every single ballot as it's counted, on top of the 2 lawsuits that are already in the state. So Georgia as well will be a recount. Anything that is less than a percent or less, with Biden in the lead in any state, he can challenge for a recount, and he will. He is promised to fight this, and so we can expect nothing else. But ETM earnings are at 10 a.m. I will be watching those, guys, so expect to see that happening. Market's about to open here, though, so let's watch Uber as we head into the market. And away we go. Settings. Definitely still bullish on space. Okay, it's 9:30. We should start to see this bad boy moving. It's on a 6-month calendar. That's probably why we're not seeing it. 2 days. Let's see here. Uber, big run yesterday, from 40 to 42-ish. Expect to see some profit taking on this for sure. I'm glad to hear that, Rich Scott. I am glad to hear the net is making you happy. Veeb, I haven't taken a look at. I don't know what that is. We've got lots that we're going to go over today, guys. ETM earnings call is at 10 a.m. So as soon as we see what the market is doing at the gate here, we'll figure that out. Uber looks like it's going to just float this 42. It doesn't really, I mean, there was a little bit of profit taking, but not a ton. We'll see what happens now. Are they continue to just float sideways at this 42 line, or are they going to continue to run? Now, guys, the Prop 22 was supposed to be really positive news for Uber and Lyft, and that's what they ran on. Now, does that bode well for Waiter as well? It could, but yeah, this is so Uber looks like it just wants to hold this sideways pattern here, guys. It's not going to move much more on Prop 22. Part of that is that Uber is just bleeding money left, right, and center. ACB is up 36, 37% now. My options on this are up $276. Again, guys, I've got Acrx into December here, so I'm okay with that. At this point, I'm looking at it, and with Uber, guys, I don't think it's going to run much more than where it already is. I'm going to be honest with you. The guidance was extremely high. So one analyst on ACRX, guys, and I'm almost positive it was Evan Seigerman, said that he expected them to do 11.5 million. So last year, Q3, ACRX did 475,000 in sales. Okay. For an analyst to say that he expects them to do $11.4 million is a shit show lie. It's poor analysis for the purpose of driving down the stock, for the sake of saying, okay, well, this thing is overpriced, overvalued, and it needs to come down and be sold because it's not meeting the consensus estimates. That's bullshit. They did 130% year-over-year gains, as well as outlining how they have a very clear growth pattern into Q4 and Q1. For me, it's looking like a buy the dip. I probably won't increase my size in it anymore just because it is 30% of my portfolio right now. ACRX is at 160 right now. So I've got about $7,000 in here. It's 23% of my portfolio. I don't know that I want to put more into this. So unless I start to see some of these other ones pay off now. Obviously down $1,200 out the gate here. That kind of blows, but still okay with it. I think this is a buy the dip, in my opinion. This thing is, as soon as this gets positive catalyst news, like military budget spending in, bam. Independent studies coming in, bam. Joint formulary in, bam. Zimmer Biomet dropping sales like mad hotcakes on this thing, bam. La Jolla dropping huge sales on this thing, bam. I honestly think that what we see here is a massive, massive boost on this quarter, and I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. ACB still heading through the roof. I'm going to keep watching these calls here. I think with ACB, what I'm going to do is set a sell order on this for 395. I think it does continue to run today. I think we will see it head up towards that $10 mark. The market is looking a little bit red, actually, when I'm looking at the sheet. ACRX down 16%, of course. CBay is down a little bit. Just seeing if anything else is blowing my... Mara is a bit surprising to me that Mara is down. I thought they would be up. I think that it's going to keep running, though. I think ACB is going to keep running, to be honest, Fury. Or usable distinction. Yeah, I mean, that ACRX is floating this. Low volume, not a lot happening on it. Like, this is a nothing. But I would love to see who the analysts were. I would love to see who the analysts were that projected that they would have to do 11.5 million. Mattel's looking good. Kodak's down a little bit. Mara's looking okay. CBay, I did take a option split on that, so I will be watching CBay to see what it does. Now, obviously, that's into next week. So, are you buying more ACRX today, Millennial Motivator? I've got $8,000 in ACRX already. So what I'm going to do with ACRX is I'm going to hold. As far as me trying to manage this portfolio effectively, I don't want to overextend on anything. Mara is actually a much larger holding than this. It's not just the 400 here because, like an idiot, I bought Mara inside my Canadian one. So there's actually $3,000 in Mara as well. So that would take this over here. $3,000 would be 10% of my portfolio over here. So, I mean, space is going to play out here. I think space we see do quite well. Waiter's going to do quite well on earnings. Mara's going to do quite well into April. Mattel's going to do quite well into April. ETM I'm playing into the end of December. If I was to add to a position right now, it would probably be ETM. Just because I want to keep sizing proportionate. But with $8,000 in ACRX, I'm not selling ACRX. I don't feel as though this is going to be a terrible loss. What is the new space launch window? We will cover that. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to go over here. But out the gate, guys, Uber was what we were watching, and Uber is doing quite well. 42, it's up to 43 now, so that's fantastic. Look at that thing go. Cedric, good call on today, man. Hopefully you had some sweet tendies tied to that thing. All right, so let's go and break down some news here, guys. And then I want to try to get in on ETM's earnings call. So we'll do that. Okay, so ACRX, guys, up 130% year over year. No commentary on this, but Evan Sagerman can... Yeah, what a jerk off. I'm sure if I go to Tip Ranks today, he's reiterated his sell position on this. In my mind, Credit Suisse is just looking at this as an opportunity to drive the price down to get in. Which, if I had to guess which analyst said that it should do 11.5 million, I'm going to say that Evan Sagerman was probably the analyst saying it should be 11.5 million. Reiterated today. At H.C. Wainwright and Michael Higgins reiterate as of today, $7 and a $5 buy point on ACRX. They are seeing the same thing. They are seeing the exact same thing that I am. This guy here is the Bane. And if I look up Credit Suisse ACRX. 4 hours ago, analyst Evan Sagerman lowers his PT to 83 cents at Credit Suisse. What a douche. What a douche. There we are, ladies and gentlemen, that big red dong of glory. Okay, other news, guys. Walt Disney Company postpones Free Guy and Death on the Nile. So currently, the only thing coming to theaters for Christmas is Wonder Woman. Virgin Galactic, we did get a space window. What we are looking at is sometime between November 19th and 23rd. So 19th and the 23rd. That means that up into the 18th is probably a good time to buy. Who knows how high it will go, but it will go. So that's one thing that we are looking at. Waiter Holdings, guys, we did not get confirmation as to when their earnings would be. It is estimated today that we see it, but there's no guarantee on that, so we don't know what we're looking at with that. Enercom beats. They beat on revenue. They beat on EPS for Q3. But remember, guys, the big play on ETM was the political ad spend, and the majority of the political ad spend did not come in until the last minute. That will be in their Q4 spend. So October, early November was the biggest ad spend in the history of the U.S. elections. So Enercom is looking really, really good for that. I am going to queue that up. Wait, what did it just do there? Okay, let's try this again. Third time the charm. Just a reminder for those of you looking at ACRX, you're like, holy crap, you're down $1,200. Aren't you sweating? I was down at $6,000 at one point. I am out of ACB. I got my order filled. In at 42, out at 369. So pretty happy with that. FTSI, yeah, that was one that we had heard about on the morning call that had the potential to go. This is interesting that I can't. I wonder if YouTube will have somebody listening to it. I'm having a hard time getting access to this, which is really interesting. The problem is that they're using Flash for their earnings call. I wonder if there's another way for me to listen to this. ETM earnings call. That's unfortunate. I really did want to listen to that, but that they're using a flash mechanism to do that is just kind of cocking me here. Intercom. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do, I guess, today is spam bots. Okay, well, spam bots, you guys can kindly just take a dip. Long leap off a short bridge, if you would please. I guarantee you the one thing I don't want is your scammy site. So I'm gonna ask you to kindly take a hike.
Hey, Millennial, did you see the chat?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm banning. I mean, just get a clue, guys. Come on, like, seriously? Who actually buys that crap? That's what kills me. Who buys this crap? These guys wouldn't do this if people didn't actually buy it, right? Who buys this crap? Absolutely unreal. Oh, I may have solved it. I think I solved it, guys. I think I solved it. Yeah, I see it there. It'll move past quickly. Okay, we do have it now, guys. We will be able to watch the conference call. Yeah, they're just pushed out now. It's all good. So we will be listening in on the ETM call. It starts at 10 a.m., so that's 10 minutes out. So I am out of my ACB calls for a tidy profit. I'm pretty happy about that. I've got about 400 bucks to play with here. I really think that I want to take I really think I want to take a bunch of Mattel calls. I'm just wondering if I should take them closer to the money. Watch list, Mattel. 1483. If I was looking at January's, for Mattel, I guess I don't want January because I want the earnings to be in, right? I want a little further out than that. So April's, okay, right outside the money. I could do 2 15s at $1.60 a pop. So Mattel, April, 15s by $2. Started at $1.50 and see if I can get somebody to give it to me at that. If not, I'll move it around today, but let that sit there for a bit and see what people do with it. Home? Yeah. Yeah, we can look at home later today. Sure. Home. Do I have a position on ETM? I do. Yeah. Currently, I'm holding a 6,500 position on it. It is down today quite a bit, but I think the earnings call is gonna make me feel good. They beat on EPS. They beat on EPS and they beat on revenue. I think that they are going to have a gangbusters year. Yeah, it looks like ACRX is just going to chill around this 150 line. But like I said, there's more positive catalyst than negative catalyst coming for it. So I'm really not sweating ACRX, guys. For it to be down is fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. ETM and ACRX both had their earnings, and both of them have fallen as a result of them. We are going to listen in here shortly to ETM's earnings to figure out what their forecast is. But I imagine what we're going to hear is we are expecting record numbers of income heading into Q4, which in turn should take it back up for the day. The other one that I was considering was GameStop, because I think GameStop is going to do quite well, but I think Mattel's going to do better. So I'm going to move this up a little bit here, see if I can get somebody to come down and grab me on Mattel.
Holy crud. Palantir is getting
Flying.
parabolic this morning.
Yeah. I mean, the more that I think the contact tracing thing was the big thing with that, right? And with Biden coming in, it's going to be a huge play.
I agree. I'm starting to enter Biden positions like that MJ ETF call I just got into.
Order filled.
All right, I got my Mattel fill at 170, so I got a little bit cheaper than the 180. I'm happy with that. Those are Mattel April 15 calls. Do I think that Mattel from now until April is going to go up 30 cents? Is the question. Obviously, my answer to that is yes. Yes, I do. But the interesting thing is, Mattel just dived. What did I do? What did I do? It didn't dive, did it? Really? No, it did. I broke it. I'm sorry. I broke it. I have no idea what it just did. No sooner do I say, do I think it's going to go up 30 cents and it falls 10. Such is the power of millennial, I suppose. But yeah, no. So with Mattel, guys, I am now double dipping. I do have $20 calls for April, $15 calls for April. I guess I'm triple dipping because I do have stock as well. I've got about $3 grand in my own stock. So yeah. We'll see what Waiter does here. I do want to clear my margin using Waiter. So I'm just waiting for this Waiter earnings to happen whenever it will happen. Still haven't heard any news yet on when that could be. I mean, I guess what we could look at is the analysis on Waiter and see what the analysts are saying for it. Okay, so the analyst consensus is 750. The lowest is 380 from Douchebank. The rest of them it's $7, $8, $5. So the average is up around the low being 7. They're not even counting this guy from Douchebank. Oh, it's not counting. Okay, so this target, it doesn't, if you don't update every 3 months, it doesn't count it, which is what it's saying. So It's not counting the 380, and it's also not counting the $5 one. But where it is right now, guys, this is showing a potential upside of 150%. And that's kind of the price target that I had it at as well, was that $7 to $8 range. So if it goes there, fantastic. Let's see here. Just seeing. Let's go to stock to see what's going on there. Yeah, I'm looking to see if anybody has any whispers here of any kind as to when we can expect the earnings, but there's just not a... Oh, here's one from 8:55 this morning. It looks like before market on the 9th is when, so Monday, we can expect waiter. So I expected to see a buy up into the end of the day here. Still got that sweet elevator music going on. Okay, let's see if there's any other breaking news here. Olin gets an upgrade. Cureleaf is selling its Maryland assets. This is good news for Cureleaf. With New Jersey legalizing pot, it's moving all of its interests into New Jersey. This is a fantastic idea for Cureleaf. It's a shame it's OTC, otherwise I would trade it. But they are the big player in New Jersey, which did legalize pot on the ballots. So there's good money to be made there. Again, guys, we had talked about this forever, that if the Republicans won, if the Republicans took the office, pot wasn't a discussion that we would be having for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately. The current situation is it looks like Biden's going to take it, which means pot is going to go. It's just the way it is. Pot.
La 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 la, millennial. I'm talking on his stream. Ha ha ha.
Hi, it's Rita. Somebody I wanted to talk to.
Nice. Thanks, man. Makes me feel appreciated.
Did I really ruin it? That's great.
No. My question, I don't know if you saw chat earlier. I decided to make a YOLO play on MJ. I saw there were $22 calls, undervalued compared to the strikes around them. And so I just took a stab and threw 70 contracts out to be bought at 1 cent. And I got, I did 70, yes. So it would have been $101 risk had it gotten filled because of my contract commissions. But I only got 28 filled instantly. But my question...
I'm going to mute Stoby. Not over the lack of love for Stoby. That's inaccurate. Yeah, it's inaccurate. So long as the U.S. only makes it domestically, not a class 1, it doesn't break trade treaties. So long as they don't do international shipping with it, they start trading it globally, they'll be fine. That's right. Yeah, so it's so long as they aren't trading it internationally, it'll be okay. The federal government can deregulate it, make it so that it's able to move freely between states, and they can also take it off of the books as far as the laws, seeing people getting arrested for traveling border to border with it. What it does as far as entry of pot from Canada, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, I think. Oh, I gotta hop out here.
This conference is being recorded. I would like to introduce your first speaker for today's call, Mr. Richard Smaling, CFO and Executive Vice President. Sir, you may begin.
Thank you, Courtney. Welcome to Entercom's third quarter earnings conference call. This call is being recorded. A replay will be available on our company website shortly after the conclusion of today's call and available by telephone at the replay number noted in our release. During this call, the company may make forward-looking statements which are based upon the company's current expectations and involve risks and uncertainties. The company's actual results could differ materially from those projected in these forward-looking statements. Additional information concerning factors that could cause actual results to differ materially are described in the Risk Factor section of the company's annual report on Form 10-K. As such, risks and uncertainties may be updated from time to time in the company's SEC filings. We assume no obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as may be required by law. During this call, we will make reference to certain non-GAAP financial measures. We refer you to the investor page of our website at entercom.com for reconciliations of such measures and other pro forma financial information. I'll now hand the call over to David Field, Entercom's Chief Executive Officer. David?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining Entercom's third quarter earnings call. We are now roughly 8 months into the pandemic and its unprecedented impact on our nation. While this has been a very difficult chapter in our country's history, I am pleased to report that Entercom has continued to make great progress in our work to drive significant organizational improvements to bolster our strategic position and capabilities, accelerate our growth potential, and enhance our business model. In fact, our work has meaningfully accelerated over the past several months, and we are confident that we will emerge from the pandemic as a meaningfully stronger and better positioned company. Entercom is transforming into a leading multi-platform audio content and entertainment company with scaled audience reach, strong data analytics and attribution capabilities, and a leadership position in virtually every segment of the dynamic and growing audio market, including broadcasting, podcasting, digital, events, network, music, sports, and news. Today, Entercom is the #1 creator of original premium audio content and strategically well-positioned with the scale and enhanced capabilities to expand our customer relationships and accelerate growth.
This is just buzz talk.
Third quarter net revenues were up 53% from second quarter, while our continuing work on enhancing our business model yielded an 18% reduction in operating expenses versus prior year, enabling us to deliver adjusted EBITDA of $31 million. Okay. Ad sales continue to suffer from the deep impact of the pandemic, which has caused many of our advertisers in businesses such as concerts and live events, tourism, gyms, nightclubs, museums, movies, theme parks, public transportation, airlines, restaurants, and others to temporarily cease or significantly curtail their operations and advertising. We look forward to welcoming them back once the country emerges from the pandemic. Rich will add some interesting additional color on what we are finding with regards to which industries and customers remain on the sidelines. You may also have noted that we have enhanced our reporting on revenue composition excuse me, in our earnings release to provide additional detail of revenue by type and by format. Digital and podcasting led the way for us in second quarter, growing 41% over prior year.
Good.
We announced a landmark partnership with FanDuel this past week.
Yep.
Before speaking to that, I want to first briefly review Entercom's unique and unrivaled leadership position in sports audio. Entercom owns and operates most of the nation's leading sports radio stations, including WFAN in New York, The Score in Chicago, WIP in Philadelphia, The Fan in DC, The Game in San Francisco, The Fan in Dallas, and many more. We are also the radio home of 41 pro teams and dozens of D1 collegiate programs, and of most of the country's leading local sports talk hosts on our various stations. There is no more deeply engaged audience than local sports radio listeners, and that is great appeal to advertisers and sports gambling providers in particular. As you are all aware, sports gambling is an exploding new advertising category, and Entercom is uniquely well positioned to participate in that growth. We are very excited about our new partnership with FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook in the U.S. We believe the Entercom FanDuel partnership is the largest advertising deal in the history of the radio broadcasting industry. Under the terms of the agreement, FanDuel will become our official sportsbook and capitalize on the power of our uniquely deep local fan relationships while collaborating with us on in-depth integrations and co-produced content. To be clear, the deal is non-exclusive, and we will continue to do significant business with other sportsbooks. In fact, we expect to see robust growth in this category as additional states legalize sports gambling in the years ahead. One thing to consider, FanDuel made this long-term commitment after 2 years of advertising with us and deeply evaluating their data to evaluate the effectiveness and ROI of their investments. This is a wonderful reaffirmation of the power of radio and the power of Entercom's uniquely influential, personality-driven platform. Now, we also had a highly successful quarter with our various content offerings. In our broadcasting business, our leading brands continue to perform well with a healthy number of top-rated stations in the largest markets. For example, we currently have the #1 rated station among adults 25 to 54 in Los Angeles and 3 of the top 5. We also have seen a big rebound in ratings across our sports stations, reflecting the reemergence of live sports, with a 33% increase in ratings at WFAN in New York, a 24% increase at both WIP in Philadelphia and The Fan in Dallas, among many others. I also want to comment briefly on overall industry listening levels. The initial disruption of the early lockdowns and deeply reduced mobility in March and April caused some initial decline in radio listening levels, albeit somewhat offset by a significant increase in radio consumption over digital platforms in the home, such as mobile and smart speakers. Since then, radio listening has rapidly recovered and has now returned to essentially pre-COVID levels. Nielsen just reported this month that average quarter-hour consumption of radio is now back to 95% and reaches back to 97% of their previous levels. In addition, Nielsen reports that time driving has rebounded across the country, with the average adult now spending 1 hour and 5 minutes daily in their cars, and heavy listeners spending 2 hours and 11 minutes daily, a full hour more than they spent in May. One other contributor, as reported by Nielsen, is that 20 to 27% of Americans are using less public transportation and shifting to cars. We also continue to post excellent growth at radio.com with our digital and streaming offerings. During third quarter, our monthly average uniques jumped 36% over prior year, led by double-digit growth in mobile and connected devices, including smart speakers and connected TVs. Radio.com total listening hours grew by 14%, marking our 14th straight month of double-digit TLH growth, the only digital publisher to do so according to Triton Webcast metrics.
That's big.
It is worth adding that our music station TLH increased by 22%, while smart speaker TLH was up 90%, as we continue to experience explosive growth on that platform. We also had a great quarter in our podcasting business, with downloads up 27% year over year. We now have over 26 million monthly average users. During the third quarter, through our Cadence 13 and Pineapple Street Studios subsidiaries, we launched or announced a number of new podcasts, including projects with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Will Arnett, Elle Fanning, John Meacham, JJ Redick, and TikTok stars Charlie and Dixie, plus 3 new titles in association with our partnership with HBO and 2 new titles in partnership with Netflix, among many others. We also launched Sophia with an F, featuring the former co-host of Barstool's Call Her Daddy, which debuted at #1 on the Apple Podcast charts. We announced a new partnership with Unsolved Mysteries, launching in 2021, and have a significant number of other original series under production. During the third quarter, 6 of our shows reached the top 10 rated podcasts on the Apple charts, and in addition, we very frequently hold more spots on the Triton Top 100 chart than any other podcaster. Our live events business has, of course, been shut down by the pandemic, but we still hosted a number of exclusive virtual live events, on radio.com with artists including Rascal Flatts, Selena Gomez, John Bon Jovi, and BTS. In fact, the BTS show was seen by over 2.5 million fans across our digital and social platforms. Now, yesterday, we also announced a station trade with Urban One. In the transaction, we will be acquiring additional stations to enhance our existing positions in Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and St. Louis in exchange for our position in Charlotte. This was an even trade with no cash changing hands. The deal is accretive in year 1. It makes us stronger in 3 important markets, while we exit a market where our position was weaker and we were not well positioned for long-term success. Specifically, we acquired the team in Washington, adding the sports station to our local lineup, which includes The Fan, DC's #1 sports station, Hot 104.1, and the IP from the Lou in St. Louis, adding the market's 2 leading stations with African Americans, and WPHI-FM in Philadelphia, which will become the FM sister station of our KYW News radio station. Now, we are also continuing to make meaningful permanent improvements to our business model, capitalizing on technology and on changing consumer behavior to enhance how we serve our listeners and advertisers, while at the same time making our operations more efficient. For example, we are planning to reduce the size of our studio locations significantly to reflect expected post-pandemic work structures and anticipate significantly reducing the $70 million we currently spend in studio leases over the next several years. In addition, we have significantly reduced the staffing and scope of our promotions departments and have discontinued some of the legacy practices which have diminishing value given the rapid adoption of our digital, social, and other technologies. And while it is quite challenging to forecast in these unprecedented times, I can tell you that we continue to expect to continue to improve sequentially and have done so in every month since April. We expect further improvement in both revenues and in particular EBITDA in the fourth quarter. Our fourth quarter business that is currently on the books already exceeds the $269 million total revenues we booked in all of Q3. Political came in a bit stronger than we expected. National continues to improve. Digital and podcasting remains strong. Local is improving. And of course, our events business remains dormant. All of that said, we note with considerable concern the rising level of COVID-19 across the country and worry about its implications on near-term conditions. So far, we have not noted any deceleration from the recovery we have been experiencing, but we are keeping a close eye on things. So in summary, we grew third quarter revenues by over 50% versus second quarter, announced what we believe is the largest ad partnership in the history of radio broadcasting, continued to thoughtfully improve our business model while enhancing our listener and customer experience, extended radio.com's streak as the fastest growing digital audio platform, and accelerated the growth of our podcasting business with an exciting slate of new products. We are evolving and enhancing the company through the pandemic and will emerge as an even stronger organization and are excited about the opportunities ahead. And with that, I'll turn it over to Rich.
Thank you, David, and good morning, everyone. For the third quarter, our total net revenues were up 53% versus the second quarter, and we're down 30% year over year. Ex political, our total net revenues were down 31% year over year. Although we have seen 5 months of sequential improvement since April, an examination of our advertiser base makes clear that many of our local and national spot advertising clients remain highly disrupted by COVID-19. Focusing on local, which accounts for close to 70% of our total spot advertising revenues, we see that 44% of our top prior year accounts were still off the air in September versus about 55% of such accounts in the month of June. Looking first at where we saw improvement in local spot advertising in the month of September as compared to the month of June,
It's a
Our
growth
top
portfolio, Zisel.
advertising
So
category, auto dealers,
if you're looking to grow a
was up
portfolio quick from
62%.
small, these are the
Auto
level of
dealer
stocks that you got to play.
associations, our sixth largest category, was up 255%. Gambling and casinos, our seventh largest category, was up 144%. Fast foods, our ninth largest category, was up 108%. And auto insurance, our 14th largest category, was up 215% in the month of September versus
Yeah, for
the
me,
month
it's not
of
luck.
June.
For me, it's doing a whole lot of research.
Now, focusing on where we still see continuing significant disruption in our local advertising base. And this time, we will look at the month of September versus prior year. Concerts, historically our fifth largest local advertising category, was down 98%. TV stations, which last year was a top 10 category, absent a new primetime fall lineup, was down 88%. And looking at other categories that are usually in our top 30, the sports events advertising category was down 57%. Casual dining was down 56%. Amusement parks down 84%. And the fairs and festivals category was down 91%.
So he's talking about all this because these are potential advertisers for them, but they are
year.
also indicative of
even categories
a
that have
larger
recovered
issue
significantly
with
due
the
to
economy
the
as a whole.
impact of COVID-related disruption are still struggling. For example, auto dealers, which make up our top local advertising category, continue to have a limited supply of new car inventory on their lots due to COVID-related supply chain issues. The auto dealer local spot advertising category was down 34% in the month of September versus the prior year. Although we are actively on the lookout for evidence of advertisers shifting their mix away from spot radio, given the constant drumbeat in the tech-focused press, we don't hear such reports from advertisers. The story remains COVID disruption, and we are optimistic as the impact of the virus subsides that our spot advertising revenues will continue to recover. Focusing on political, revenues came in at $5 million for the third quarter, up from $1.7 million in the third quarter of last year. Although political came in weaker than we expected in the third quarter, political pacing picked up significantly in October. And now that we are past Election Day, we can say that our political revenues will total about $16.5 million for the fourth quarter, which is up slightly on a same-station basis from 2016 pro forma and up more than 10% versus 2018. For the full year, political revenues are now expected to come in at about $30 million versus $29 million in 2016 and $25 million in 2018. Turning to digital, our revenues were up 41% year over year in the third quarter to $47.3 million, driven largely by growth in podcast and streaming advertising revenues. You will see that we have provided a further supplemental breakdown of our revenues by type and by format in the financial data tables included in our third quarter earnings release. We have also posted historical data for these breakdowns for the last 8 quarters under the Investor Relations tab on our website. You will see that our sponsorships and event revenues continue to be significantly disrupted as a result of COVID, and our event revenues were down 97% year over year for the third quarter. Looking at the fourth quarter, the continued absence of live events will cause our revenues to be down 7% versus the prior year, and our remaining revenues are currently pacing down mid-teens year over year. I want to reiterate David's earlier comment that we are concerned about the recent uptick in COVID cases and how that may impact advertising over the remainder of this year. So our current pacing may not be indicative of how the quarter ultimately closes. Our total operating expenses for the third quarter came in at $268.8 million and include an $11.8 million non-cash impairment charge and $1.2 million of restructuring costs. We also recorded a charge of $3.2 million for costs related to COVID-19. Excluding these one-time and unusual costs and adjusting out non-cash items like D&A, our total cash operating expenses came in at $237.4 million, or down $50.8 million, or 18% on an as-reported basis versus prior year, and we're down $63.6 million, or 21%, pro forma for our second half 2019 podcasting acquisitions. For the fourth quarter, we continue to project that our costs will be down high teens to low 20s, and the company continues to work on enhancements to its business model that will generate permanent savings while enhancing how we serve our listeners and customers. Many of these enhancements have already been implemented, and looking forward to 2021, we expect that we will deliver $100 million or more of fixed expense savings versus 2019 pro forma for our podcasting acquisitions. Our total 2019 cash operating expenses on a pro forma basis were $1.19 billion, and 21% of these costs were variable. In 2021, we expect that variable costs will account for 24 to 25% of our cost base. Turning to our financial position and liquidity, we used cash on hand during the quarter to pay down $166 million of our revolver to an outstanding balance of $77.7 million at the end of the quarter. Our net debt at September 30th was $1.63 billion, down $66 million from the end of 2019. Our liquidity at September 30th remained strong and was $198 million, comprised of $165.6 million available under our revolver and $32.4 million of cash on hand. Our net capital expenditures totaled $5.8 million in the third quarter and are expected to total about $30 million for the full year. As discussed on our second quarter call, the company executed an amendment to its first lien maintenance covenant on July 20th. This amendment, among other things, provides for a covenant holiday for the quarters ended September 30th, 2020 and December 31, 2020. It replaces actual 2020 EBITDA with prior year amounts for 2Q through 3Q in calculating LTM EBITDA. It increases the interest rate applicable to our revolver by 25 basis points and adds a new minimum liquidity covenant for our combined cash on hand and undrawn revolver of $75 million. These amendment provisions fall away at the end of 2021. With that, we'll now go to your questions. Operator?
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1, unmute your phone, and record your name clearly. If you need to withdraw your question, press star 2. Again, to ask a question, please press star 1. It will take a few moments for the questions to come through. Please stand by. Our first question comes from Craig Huber from Huber Research Partners. Your line is now open.
Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you for the added revenue breakdown by type. It's very helpful. Appreciate that. Can you go over one more time? I missed part of it. You were saying something about the 2021 cost base versus 2019, Rich, and I guess on a pro forma basis. Just go through that one more time for me.
Sure.
About that.
So what I said was that our 2019 cost base on a pro forma basis, including our podcasting acquisitions, was $1.19 billion, and that 21% of those costs were variable. And in 2021, we expect that our variable costs will be about 24 to 25% of our cost base.
Okay, and then my other bigger question here is, once we get through this COVID-19 environment, what is your preliminary thought about what is sort of the rebound in radio station advertising for the industry, but also for your company, will look like? I mean, do we think you're going to get back to your 2019 level on a pro forma basis? Or will it be a material step-down function at some point and then work off that going forward, up slightly up or slightly down? How do you sort of see the rebound playing out here for the industry and for your company for revenue? Sort of the $64,000 question. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it is the $64,000 question, Craig, and obviously, nobody has a perfect crystal ball, but we're very optimistic that we will get to a full recovery once we get past the pandemic. And the reasoning for that, and let me take you through, because I think it's really interesting how we look at the current situation and contrast that to 2008, 2009, which I know some people look at and wonder, are we going to see that again? And we start by saying we're a very different company today, and we're also in a very different situation in a very different industry. And I think if you look at the components of that, it's kind of interesting. So first, at the time, digital was really just exploding. And while it's still growing today, there's less share shift going on from traditional into digital. And even to the extent that there is shift, we now have an enhanced product line, right? That includes deep digital platforms that can meet customer needs. And whether that's addressable inventory, our radio.com streaming solutions, our network, our events business, leading podcasts, digital marketing services. So we came to the table in 2008, 2009 with nothing. And today we're obviously much better equipped as a multi-platform company. Secondly is scale. Radio and Entercom in particular, Entercom too, we didn't have the relationships and the depth and the scale to really be deeply engaged at senior levels with our customers and with our key agencies. And we were much more of a vendor back then, and that's changed. It's changing. I don't want to suggest that it's not a work in progress, but I think we're much better positioned today to be at the table, which is helpful. Third, we had no data analytics or attribution information at the time to be able to defend ourselves when advertisers were making tough decisions about where to place their money. And today, we have many thousands of our advertisers that are linked into our Entercom advanced audio platforms. We have deep data analytics and attribution information, and advertisers have a much better sense of what works and what doesn't. And I think what people see is that audio and radio get a disproportionately low share of the media mix, and the argument is that they should be spending more rather than less. So we're much better positioned for that conversation. Fourth, competitive vulnerabilities. Radio is the least disrupted medium today in terms of the changing world we live in. That was not true in 08 and 09. And today we think competitors are vulnerable, and with our low-cost advantages, we think there's an opportunity again to do a better job of having dollars shift towards us as opposed to away from us. Fifth, as Rich outlined on the call, I think the situation's different in the sense that much of the erosion in our advertising this year is because of the specific impact of the pandemic on our customer base. And so whether it's, again, local gyms or live events or other, categories that both Rich and I listed, those businesses aren't going away. And when the pandemic's over and they can ramp up again, they need to get their customers back. And so we expect to fully participate in that recovery. But for now, obviously, that puts a damper on our numbers. And sixth and finally is the fundamental strength of listenership. And I know there was some concern about radio listenership in March and April and what was happening, but we've seen now that we're back essentially to exactly where we were before. And you heard the Nielsen numbers. And so again, I think that puts the industry on a really strong competitive platform. And then the last thing I'll say, and I apologize for the long answer, but it is such an important question, is that we are, our product line now with sports gambling, with our podcasting business and digital, again, I think we're positioned to grow faster with those accelerating elements within our product line. So hopefully that's helpful.
I appreciate that. If I could just quickly ask, the decline in your ad revenue this quarter, year-over-year pro forma, how much of that was volume versus price?
We don't have a specific breakout of that to share with you, but I would say that the bulk of it was volume, but also there's no question we took a hit on pricing, and we did a lot of things to support some of our local advertisers at a time when they were really hurting. And so if you factor that into our pricing, obviously that would exacerbate it. What we've seen as inventory has tightened up and as the political season emerged, we've seen improvement in pricing, but it's a mix of the two.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Our next question comes from Stephen Call from Wells Fargo. Your line is now open.
Thanks, and I joined a little late, so apologies if you've already been over some of this stuff. First, I was just wondering if you could talk to us about the covenant holiday and, just based on the pace of where EBITDA is today, how you feel about the timeline between here and when, sort of the normal covenants kick back in early 2021. And then, somewhat related to that, I was wondering if you could speak about podcasting. It seems like we might be on the cusp of a content war here between Apple and Spotify and SiriusXM. So how do you kind of maximize the value of your content, against those players? And if acquisition multiples go high enough for podcast studios, would you ever consider being a seller? And then lastly, just on FanDuel, I was wondering if some of that functionality is going to be integrated into radio.com. Do you see yourself as a potential transaction point in the future, or is the relationship right now more that you're sort of part of the funnel to help bring sort of users into their ecosystem? And is there any sort of like performance revenue basis for doing so? I know there's a lot there, so thanks a lot.
There is. Let's do your questions in reverse order, Stephen, if we can remember them all. I'll start with FanDuel and then talk about podcasting, and then Rich can speak to your first question. So as far as FanDuel is concerned, it is an advertising relationship, but with deep custom integration in terms of our content and our personalities, and working together to co-create cool elements that will be great for our listeners and that will tap into FanDuel's content and insights and data to enrich our unique listener experience. And in turn, we'll be doing, creating content and programming that will also serve to drive their business as well. And again, as you can tell, we're really excited about this. It is a landmark deal, and I'm sure over time, as great partners, we'll come up with more creative applications that'll be great for their business and great for ours. To your second question on podcasting, so first, just for those who don't know our background in the industry, we were able to enter the podcast.
All right, I'm gonna hop out of that earnings call, guys. I heard what I wanted to hear. The political ad spend is up like crazy, so I think the stock will do quite well into Q4. I think we will continue to see it rise as we come out of COVID. I am still solid on the ETM play. It is down today by 9%. I'm not going anywhere. Not going anywhere on that. ACB is up 63% now. I did. I closed out the one side and I made a 400% profit on the other. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with the exit on that, and now I've rolled that into 2 Mattel calls for April, $15 calls for April on Mattel. Mattel is currently at 1463, so yeah, pretty excited for that. I think the Mattel ones, if I'm looking at what it looks like as far as in strike, I expect Mattel to actually run closer to 20, so I'd say it's in 5 strikes, so somewhere in that 490 range. I'm pretty sure that over the next couple months, we just see Mattel go. Now, we look back on the year, Mattel has just come back to where it was pre-COVID, so yeah, that would be annoying. Pretty pumped about that, guys. All right, I'm back.
Clarice.
I heard everything that I needed to hear.
Sound like good news?
Yeah. It's pretty much what I thought, that most of the political ad spend was in October, so it's not actually in this earnings, but they did still expand on that they saw a ridiculous amount of ad dollars come in for political ad spend.
And we hold again.
Yeah.
Hey, did you say you took ACB calls?
Yeah, I got out of mine.
Oh, you got out of them?
Yeah. I got mine
yesterday?
for... No, this morning. I got out for...
Okay.
I got in for 40, and I sold for 369.
Nice play.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty happy with that. And then I just rolled that into Mattel 15s for April.
Oh, okay. So that was what you're leveraging for Mattel.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget Mattel... you don't normally. I forget you don't leave cash on hand.
I've got like $60 kicking around, not a ton, but
no, I meant, but yeah, you don't leave a substantial amount for plays when you want them.
No, move it, lock it. Space is looking good. Heading into the launch.
Speaking of space, do you like space movies like Interstellar and things like that?
Sometimes it feels like you're watching the same movie over and over and over again.
I've just started this new one. It's called Mars on Netflix.
Mars.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's a really interesting concept, but what I can gather they're doing so far is that it's part documentary, part.
Are you talking to me or somebody else?
I was talking to Millennial.
Oh, see, I think I got disconnected because all of a sudden everything went quiet. Never mind. Keep going.
Yeah, so it's part. It's just called Mars, but it's on Netflix. I don't think it's on.
This one here, National Geographic Mars.
Yes. So the concept of that is they flop back and forth from 2016 to 2033, and the 2016 is more of the documentary. So you see interviews with Elon Musk, you see analysts talking about what it takes to get to Mars, and then as the show goes on, it goes flashback and flash forward. Then you see 2033 where they're actually landing on Mars and things like that. So it's an interesting concept between the two of reality versus projection. But then as the show's going so far, like the first couple episodes, okay, what is it going to take for us to leave for 8 months and survive during that trip? And they talk about the science of it.
I mean, it's a really interesting concept. I like that. It feels a little bit like The Martian in many ways, except The Martian is completely fabricated, and this is
correct.
Some science backing it.
Yeah, the thing you're missing with that, the thing I like about this one is it's like I said, it's partially like a documentary where it's backing it up of this is how we're going to solve that problem, or what we're doing today to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Just an interesting concept. I like it.
So it looks like we're getting waiter earnings on Monday pre-market.
Say it again?
Waiter earnings are Monday pre-market.
Hey, Rita, I could sell those contracts for almost probably a 1,500% gain already.
That's hilarious. What was the ticker you got them on?
MJ. So right now the ask is at 15. The last fill was 10, and I got them at 1 cent, and got 28 of them.
Interesting. So what's the Biden portfolio then, Millennial? Because I'd love to go check on them.
Oh, the Biden portfolio? Holy shit. Guys, if you had entered the Biden portfolio at the start of October when we put it together, on an initial $100,000 investment, you would have made $29,000.
29% gain, not bad.
Yeah. If you had shorted the Trump one, it's only down $2,000 actually. So it's not actually down enough that shorting it would have done you any good. What will stop ACB? Nothing. Nothing will stop ACB. Yeah. No.
Let it run. Let it run. I want to see MJ hit 22 today.
Oh my God, PLTR is $14. Fuck.
Oh, hey, Palantir just broke 14. Oh my dear Lord. I'm just looking at my portfolio balance just skyrocketing right now. Because of the contracts. Yeah, JS, it's gonna get ugly. No matter which way it's sliced.
What are we looking at?
Just he was saying that there's been many videos of poll workers denying court-ordered observers from entering the voting site. So I mean, that was a comment by JS Watts.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's going to get ugly no
yeah.
matter which way we go, no matter what we do. I was telling Rita, I said my biggest fear, honestly, is there's some legality thing that causes the Supreme Court to rule that Trump wins.
Yep.
I think we burn.
I mean, I don't know.
I
don't know who could have seen that coming.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying, at this point, there's one thing with having Trump win with kind of like closer to the majority vote and actually having some electoral college thing, but the way it's looking in the perception now is that's how he would steal it to the public. And there's no, we saw what happened 4 years ago, the outrage on a clear win.
Yep. Yeah, I do agree that there is going to be a big time outrage.
It's one of those, do I go and YOLO some Digley calls?
I think the first things first before we get to the Supreme Court is that every state that's within 1% will get an official recount request from the Republicans, which will take us 2 more weeks. All of those recounts will have legal observers for the Republican Party in those rooms. So I don't want to jump the gun and say we're going right to the Supreme Court. I think what we will see initially is a an official recount with both Republican and Democrat observers present. I think that will be the first step, and we'll go from there. Now, in the event that fraudulent numbers can be proven in any of the contested states, then you better believe it's going to go to the Supreme Court. If the numbers come in accurate, and that's just the way that it is, and Trump needs to bite the bullet on that, and they can't prove fraud at all in any of the counts, then you're fine, and all will go well, and the world will be all right. With that being said, there are certain things that I'm just, I've looked at and I've gone through, and to see large swaths of votes come in, we're talking 150,000 plus votes come in with 100% of them being for Biden. I think that there is room there for there to be a potential for voter fraud. I'm not saying that there is. I'm saying that there's room there for potential. So. I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying that there's potential there, which is all that Trump needs to go to a judge and say, I would like an official recount. He can do that anyway, as long as it's within 1%, but he can say that there is a potential recount, potential for a recount. They will do the recount, and this time it will be done under the observation of both Democrat and Republican observers. And the observers will guarantee that they get their legal rights to stand there and watch the ballots being counted. And the Republicans will spare no expense to actually have one person over every shoulder counting every ballot alongside. So, it'll be interesting. Again, the Electoral College doesn't vote till December 15th, so that's how much time that we have here. What they're voting on is really what the Supreme Court needs to decide on. So, are they voting on the numbers the night of, or are they voting on the numbers afterwards? Are they voting, do they count all the votes from Pennsylvania that are in the courts right now that were pre-counted? There's a lot going on. So, yeah. For me, it's a matter at this point of it is completely outside of my hands. There's nothing that I can do about it. I will let the attorneys at this point sort this thing out, because that's who is going to sort this thing out. I will watch the headlines. I will wait and see what the announcements are. Do I think that the Credit Suisse guy will change to a buy on ATRX? No. So that was one of the things that we were looking at this morning, is that the estimates on ACRX's earnings ranged from 1.4 million on the low to 11.4 million on the high. So an analyst actually looked at ACRX and went, okay, they did $450,000 in sales last year. I project that this time around they are going to do $11.4 million in revenue. Now we can't see who made which of the analysts on this made that recommendation, but there's currently only 5 analysts on this stock. And if I had to spitball at which of the analysts gave it an overextended revenue estimate, I'm the only one that's bullish on this thing is Credit Suisse. So if I had to throw out there which company is going to go balls deep in setting the bar so high that ACRX can't meet it, probably the company that has a bullish recommendation or a bearish recommendation on it. And no sooner do we get the earnings come in where they are up 130% year over year, that we see that they missed as a result of a massively high average, which was around the 3 to 6 million range, depending on where you landed. And then immediately following the earnings call yesterday, Evan Seigerman from Credit Suisse hopped back on, reiterated his sell rating, and lowered his price point average to 83 cents. So I appreciate his insights. The Q4 catalysts that I saw that were encouraging to me were they were up 130% year over year, Q3 to Q3. They have 2 independent research studies that are coming out in Q4. There are 3 sales teams actively selling it, and we have military spending coming in Q4. So when people are asking me, and I did get quite a few questions this morning about am I still bearish on ACRX, I'm not fucking leaving.
Buy the dips.
Yeah. And I appreciate a lot of you guys that are like, but I don't care.
That's why you don't give financial advice, and your plays are your plays.
Yep. I would not fault anybody for getting out. I would not fault anybody for getting in here. I would not recommend that you do either. So it's up to you to do whatever. But for me, I'm not going anywhere. For me to be down 1,000 on this is laughable, because at one point I was down $5,000 on it. So pretty happy with where I am on it. I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. You guys were there for the earnings call with Acrx. What did you think? Did anything cause you to run for the hills on that? Yeah, you have a better entry than I do, Saki, if you're up 15% on it. Yeah, the new production line in Q1 is interesting. That was kind of a big bomb that lit up. And I don't mention it for Q4 because it's not a Q4 catalyst, it's a Q1 catalyst. But that they can reduce the cost of making Vesuvia by 60% is crazy. 90% reorder rate, yeah, that was really nice to see, and that 70% of their total revenue is from return customers is pretty cool too. Do I think that a $1 million salary for their CEO is worth it? I think $1 million a year for a CEO of a company is reasonable. I think that when you're managing a company, you aren't managing it on the quarter. You're not managing it on the year. And so long as I see a CEO being paid $1 million a year that has a roadmap for the next 5 that are going to return to the company what he has made and more, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So kind of where I settle on that is, are they currently profitable? No. Does Acrx have a plan for the next 5 years to become a profitable company, bringing in more than $1 million in sales every year? $1 million in profit, I should say, every year. Yes. He said Q4 2022, so that's 2 years out. That's EBITDA positive. For me, I honestly see the rate of adoption being much faster with bio especially, and as COVID gets worse here in the second wave, opioid shortage gets worse, I think what we're going to see is increased levels of hospitals and formularies getting desperate for painkillers, not knowing where to turn, and they're going to start asking their friends. The medical industry is very, very close-knit. I think what you end up seeing is more and more and more hospitals going, okay, we're out of drugs. What are we supposed to do here? What are we supposed to do with this? And it resulting in them reaching out to friends going, what are you guys using for drugs? What are you guys using for drugs? And that will just continue to steamroll. That their initial couple hospitals and formularies are up in upstate New York. That's fantastic, because New York is going to be facing opioid shortages in a very serious way very shortly. So Acrx is in a good position there, where those hospitals go, well, Acrx is working for us. I think that's pretty good.
I'm doing what?
You're getting feedback on Millennial talking, Echo.
Oh, shit, sorry.
No, just FYI.
No, I don't want to fuck up his stream.
No, it's all good. I just muted it when I heard the echo. It wasn't a big deal. Do I think Acrx has the room to run, though? Kappa, yeah.
Well, how about now?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it now.
For me, one of the questions with this would be, okay, so let's change this to something else. Let's change it from something that isn't opioids, okay? Let's say it's insulin, okay?
Wait. Can we back up a second?
Yeah.
Can you tell me his pay package? Is it mostly stock? Is it salary? Like, what are you talking?
Yeah, I'm not sure what his compensation package is. We can pull that up on Edgar right now. That would be in their 10Q, isn't it? Rita, that should be in their 10Q, right? Compensation for their executive?
Yeah, absolutely. Not regular compensation, but because then you have to go more than their 10K. I mean, yeah, 10K, whatever the annual is.
Mm-hmm. 10Q, 8K, 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 10Q, 10Q. Where is their... Oh, next 40. 10K. Legal proceedings, safety disclosures.
Google his name, or find on page his name, or do CEO or executives.
Yeah, it's here. Executive compensation, item 11, page 76. For those of you that have never seen this before, guys, this is Edgar. This is the SEC filing for reporting. Anything that they have that, as far as relevant news that can move the stock, to their quarterly filings, to their annual filings, all of that is in here. So this is where you go when you want the details and you don't want just the headlines, right? It's all readily available for you. It is free. Executive compensation. The information required by this item is incorporated in the reference for the information regarding for the records.
Hey, millennial, ACRX isn't your play, dickhead.
Rude.
Fine, be that way.
You know, I gotta keep you honest because you're a fucking liar.
For those of you that are new to the channel, Martini's job is to give me shit, and most of what she says is sarcasm. So, okay, so where the hell is this? It's not in this. It is. They announce it at a later date. So this is March 16th. They have several prospectuses here. Is this where this is? Would it be in here? No, this isn't. It's a tetraphase. That never happened.
At this point, go into full text search and just say executive pay package or something like that.
Okay, there's their annual report. That's way too far back.
Oh, I got stopped out of Palantir. That's okay.
I bought more. Is that weird?
No, this is what you should do. It just, I mean, I made $400 on the play, so I'm not crying. I had a feeling my 5% stop was a little too tight for the movement it's had today. Jesus, Rita, those contracts are 2,000% now.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, the 28 contracts for sure.
Oh my god.
And then here's the thing: is they're January 21 contracts. So I don't see any reason in selling right now. So.
Executive compensation. Here it is, page 21. So they're using a peer group to gauge how they determine salary. So they're looking at all of these other similar type bio companies and saying, okay, well, what are these guys paying, as well as the elements of the executive salary. So base salary, no increase. He makes $600,000 base salary, which means that $1 million number that people like to be throwing out there, that is directly tied to incentive bonuses. So military approvals, we're part of this. Manufacturing deals in the EU for Zelviso are on this. Vesuvio in the EU is something that they need to work on. and commercialization of Vesuvia. So if Vincent Ngotti is receiving $1 million a year, it's because he was able to get military confirmation. He was able to get so the JDF. He was able to get U.S. purchases. He was able to get joint formularies to pick up the drug. He's doing the right things that are in his package to say you need to be doing this. So in my mind, a $600,000 salary for him plus incentives saying you got to be selling the crap out of this drug and taking the right steps to move the flag forward. That's in my mind, that's not something that I have a huge issue with. But yeah, so Rita, proportionately, he is seeing 600,000 salary cash, and then the other 400,000 that he's receiving are incentives that lead to equity compensation.
Yeah, the higher the equity compensation, the better, because I mean, in business you have to think about interest alignment. As long as you look, the sooner you figure out interests are aligned, the better you are in business.
Yep. I think a 60-40 split on a CEO is really solid, in my opinion. To have 40% of what this guy is making directly tied to equity compensation based off incentives, right? So he's not even guaranteed that $400,000. He has to make shit happen in order to see that $400,000 in equity. So just trying to track what's happening here, what I'm doing here, and what you guys are talking about with the elections. Yeah, guys, until I start seeing headlines about what's happening with the legal side of things, the count at this point is irrelevant. It's taken long enough and it's close enough that the count is no longer the issue with the election. It will come down to the legal matters of what count should be counted, what number are we going to decide on, and if the fighting gets drawn out, the Supreme Court will come to a decision on it. That's kind of past that. There's not really much to say here. You're not going to get. Trump is not just going to concede. He's not going to give this up with so many states so close, and with the numbers having gone so far the other way. Especially in Pennsylvania, will be a big legal battle for sure. With 700,000 votes separating them on the night of the election, and now Biden is ahead, I believe, in Pennsylvania. Yeah, Biden is currently ahead in Pennsylvania by 7,000 votes. So that may be true, Erico, that he would never give it up, even if it was clear on election night. But there's a difference between it being clear one way or the other, or him actually having grounds to challenge things, ask for recounts, and legal battles. Right now, what we're seeing is that he does have grounds to ask for recounts. Anything that's a percent. So Michigan, he cannot challenge, actually. Wisconsin, he can. Georgia, he can request a recount. North Carolina, Biden cannot request a recount currently, but we're only 95% of the vote. Pennsylvania, most definitely. Neither of them have 50% of the vote. And there's less than a tenth of a percent difference between them. So this one is going to be hotly contested. So again, the ones that we're looking at here are we're still waiting on Nevada to figure out what the hell's going on there. They are currently a percent apart there, so Nevada might be another one. They haven't given Trump Alaska yet. I don't know why we're waiting on that. We should just do that. that's gonna happen. But Arizona's more than 1%, so he can't officially demand a recount. But he does have a legal proceeding in place in Arizona already. So yes, yeah, Trump ran for president in The Simpsons too, which is one of the Simpsons predicted the futures thing. The interesting thing with this is if you go to a recount in Wisconsin, Wisconsin's only 20,000 votes that Biden's on. So a recount there could actually do interesting things. Also deciding which votes count in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, when the timing of those counts happen and what invalidates them will also be very interesting from a legal perspective. But that we are still looking at Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Alaska, and Arizona, possibly even Nevada in the mix. There's enough here that we won't know freaking anything. The Electoral College votes December 15th. The Supreme Court will have to come to a decision as to which numbers they are voting on before that, which essentially means that we get a month of, I don't know. Lawyers and courts will decide from this point on. It will have nothing to do with the actual votes being counted at the moment. Ooh, any engineers out there? Elon's hiring for the Gigafactory in Berlin. Where's Cybot? Cybot! Elon wants you.
Speaking of Elon, Martini, did you see those tequila things went out of sale or out of stock already?
What tequila
Seriously?
things?
My
Yeah.
fucking tequila is gonna be worth a lot. I can't wait.
Just turn around and resell them. Those things would be worth so much money.
Elon was found
I just
passed
wanna
out
keep
against a
one.
Tesla 3 surrounded by Tesla Kilo bottles.
No, bro, I'm gonna drink my Tesla Kila. I'm gonna wrap my fucking Cybertruck in Nicola Blue, and I'm gonna go fucking roll it down the fucking hill. And I'm just gonna keep saying, "Fuck you, Trevor Milton. Fuck you, Trevor Milton."
Linux MLG. What time frame is considered a day trade when purely trading equity, not options? Day trade, in my mind, would be you're holding for days, not weeks, right? The second that you start holding for weeks, you're swing trading.
What?
No?
Day trading is like an Investopedia term. Day trading is actual opening closing transactions on the same business day.
It has to be the same day.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah,
You're in and out on the
overnight
day.
is a swing.
Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
Anything overnight is a swing because that's how they determine the pattern day trading rule.
There it is.
Day trading is a defined
the
rule.
official answer from professionals and Investopedia. Day trade is literally the day, not days, literally the day. If somebody told me that they're taking place on Monday for Friday, I would probably call them a day trader, but I would be wrong as far as the official definition. Yeah, and it is tough, guys. It's really tough. I understand all the debates and arguments around the election because that's all that you're seeing right now. So it's tough not to talk about it because it's all anybody's talking about. So let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Disney pulling the last two movies it had on the slate for December.
Ooh, yes. Fuck the mouse.
So Disney has pulled the Hercule Poirot movie that it had coming out and the Ryan Reynolds movie. So both of those are gone. So the only new movie that will be in theater for December, for the Christmas season, Wonder Woman opens on Christmas Day. That still has not been scrapped. That's still there. And Monster Hunter comes out on the 26th, the 28th. Movie. The website with different traders' predictions is TipRanks. You can find my portfolio on it here, and you can actually just play around on that website. This December 30th. So this will be released just before New Year. So on Christmas, if you're going to go to the movie theater, you are going to the movie theater to see Wonder Woman, and that is it.
told you their earnings in the earnings call. They already told you the election revenue for in this earnings call.
Yep. Yeah, they said that they were looking at. I tagged you on it up above. I think it's 30 million that they said that they were expecting on political ad spend just from October, November, which is huge.
But basically, this floated them plus a little bit in through COVID.
Well, and that's the other thing that they're saying is they're not forecasting the political ad spending to stop right now because both sides are still ad spending to continue pushing their narrative, right? Yeah, so there is no blockbuster coming out in theaters other than Wonder Woman until so Wonder Woman December 25th, next week Monster Hunter, and then the 15th of January. So midway through January, Mortal Kombat comes out, which I will be going to see. It's the guy that did. If any of you guys saw the Mortal Kombat series that came out on YouTube, like the R-rated Power Rangers and the Mortal Kombat series that came out on YouTube for a little bit, James Wan is the guy that did those. And people have been begging him to actually do his rendition of Mortal Kombat. That's very gritty, very R-rated, hard R, not that cheesy 1990s Christopher Lambert playing an Asian god piece of junk. This is the one that people seem to want, and it's what they're going to get in January. Now, I don't know that this is going to be a blockbuster.
I want to throw a giant asterisk right here on Millennials movie picks. I got a very great review and recommendation to watch Money Monster, and that shit was awful.
Really?
Was so bad. It
I
was
loved
so
it.
bad.
I loved
it. It was
it.
comically horrible.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. I watched it
like,
as a 2-hour.
It's really good. It was so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why it's so good. It was a 2-hour shit show of what happens if somebody goes after Jim Cramer.
Dude, there is a scene in the movie. There's a scene in the movie where one of the guys who's like a part of the broadcast team gets shot. Yeah. He actually gets shot and nobody gives a fuck. They literally just walk past him and they totally forget about him. What the fuck?
So you need to watch it as a dark comedy, and I suppose I should have pre-qualified that, but
okay.
It is a dark comedy.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. It was a great movie.
Money Monster. It's a great horrible movie.
It is a great dark comedy. It is an excellent dark comedy. If you want to see a movie where what people wanted to do to Jim Cramer following the 2008 collapse, like if somebody actually did the things that they said they were going to do on Twitter, that's what that movie's about. And Hitch is absolutely correct. If you watch it, the entire thing is tongue-in-cheek. George Clooney does an exceptional job coming across as Jim Cramer. He does. He absolutely nails that role. You believe full-heartedly that he buys into his own bullshit.
Money Monster.
I don't know. Like, the guy was... I mean, I watched him a little bit. I don't particularly like him, but, I mean, I can respect his opinions.
With Home, it's looking like a really solid buy. Go Storm. I really like it.
It's basically a hostage movie around a Jim Cramer type. It's not really like a big like it's like a commentary on how like
the little guy got
markets
cucked.
Are rigged. Yeah, but it does a really bad job at doing that because nothing that happens in the movies anything close to that can actually happen in the stock market. But it's a better hostage movie, and it's a terrible movie in any other sense.
As a dark comedy, I had a blast with it. I still
Everything
highly
else
recommend it.
So,
yeah, as a dark comedy, I had a blast with it. I still enjoy it. Just thinking about Julia Roberts and George Clooney in that thing makes me laugh even now as I'm sitting here.
It's very well acted. I'll give it that.
The scenes where he is doing the Jim Cramer thing, where he's like, my breakthrough hammer play of the day, and I'm like, come on.
Balls. Balls.
Yeah. Look at the balls. Let's go to the balls. Like, yeah, this is exactly it. And I mean, when he tries to become the good guy, it's actually fairly prophetic in that nature of where if you look at Jim Cramer today, does he still have a bit of that cheese to him? Yeah, but he's getting old, right? And so he started to take on that. Like, I'm not gonna just let people mislead people. I am gonna call some people out if I do see bullshit. And I've seen that a few times now where he brought Milton on and then went, I still don't like this stock. Everything that he just told me, I still don't like it. I wouldn't play it.
Rita.
Like, okay.
Rita, am I crazy or does Chick-fil-A's zesty buffalo sauce taste like Frank's Red Hot?
Because it is Frank's Red Hot.
Well, they got a patent on that. Don't. Oh man, I'm gonna get sued.
If it tastes like chicken,
probably fish.
Well, this feels odd. Jim Cramer wants you to come play against him on DraftKings in Week 9. So
bring it on.
Him and David Daytrader are all about that life. Guess he's bullish on Penn, huh?
If I hear another tweet about Penn, I'm gonna lose it.
This is all your fault. You took away the private Discord, and now you're embarrassed. It's all your fault.
Oh, I'm not embarrassed. I don't get embarrassed.
Of course you are. Look at your face. I can see it. I can see it. Look at you.
You can see my face.
You took away the private Discord?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's streaming this. Do you not realize that? He comes in here every day and streams it.
Okay.
Were you unaware that you were?
No, I'm aware that he's streaming, but I didn't know there was like there's some conspiracy.
It's a mass conspiracy.
Yeah, I wasn't aware.
No, the conspiracy is motherfucker changes when he's on stream. He acts. he has the corporate voice on. Oh, please don't tell me like that isn't true. Come on, guys.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a classy guy.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
See? By the way, this segment was brought to you by Coca-Cola. If you're not drinking Coke, you should be.
God, I love Coke.
Who doesn't love Coke, huh?
Yeah.
Every trader out there, Coke.
I was gonna say, if you're a trader in Oregon, ooh-wee.
The best thing with that is, guys, a lot of home renos are coming in, and I know that I'm probably looking to repaint the office. One of the things that Home Depot has on sale right now are what do you call those things when you're taking the paint off the wall?
Primer?
No. Wait. Before you prime it, you've got to
paint chipper?
Strip it. Yeah. So yeah. So this segment is now brought to you by Coke and strippers. That's what we need. That's where we're at. That's it. Cut the mullet. Coke and strippers. That's where the traders are these days. You spelled Shell wrong, Martini. Shell has an E in it. And Shell. Speaking of Shell, those EV plays, huh? How about those?
I know what you did, millennial. Go fuck yourself.
Cookies and milk? I mean, I guess for Christmas. All in Santa, baby.
Was it Palantir stock down? Oh god.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Wish I was on that ride.
I am unfortunately got kicked off.
Should we go to the market? Should we go look at Palantir? Because Martini's making big money on Palantir.
Didn't Excel take a huge position in it?
It's only like I spent an entire week researching that one. Weird.
Sure, she did. She did.
I bought more, by the way.
I'm not surprised.
Why not? I would if I was you too.
If the U.S. is about to announce contact tracing, this is pennies on the dollar. This is the PayPal mafia, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you don't bet against. But they didn't do well on the day of their IPO. They didn't go up to $100.
Oh.
Okay.
I just hope GoodRx does the same thing. I'm waiting for that. It's
like gonna be a long roost.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's negative on my chart right now.
Is it
in my portfolio
unsavory to post baby chicks in food porn channels on Discord?
No. Everybody loves their chicken nuggets.
There's another guy in the Discord that I know. He's got some baby chicks that just hatched, and he put it in food porn.
I'm okay with that.
I do think he lives on a farm, so I think it is food for them. But it's just one of those.
So Waiter Guys is confirmed Monday pre-market. So that'll be interesting to watch. If we look at Uber and Lyft, how are they doing right now? I guess Lyft isn't actually, like Uber is, but Grubhub is the other food one, right? So Uber is 45, Grubhub is 80. Anybody watch The Mandalorian yet?
No, I need to go back and watch the first season.
I'm just wondering if
Can we go over Palantir?
Yeah, Palantir. Yep.
Can we go over Palantir news? Because I may not have looked at all the news that have been coming up.
So this one is huge, guys. That Palantir is being considered in the UK for contact tracing is big. UK is the doorway to Europe. If they can show the value of contact tracing program using Palantir, expect this to expand very rapidly. Now, the Palantir, do they already have a contact? Yeah. They've already had an agreement with the US.
Already have. Yeah. What is the size of the contract for the US? I think it was 100 million.
I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. It doesn't say, actually. There's no dollar value on this for the US. It says that they're going to provide it, but there's nothing there that says, is this it, the IDIQ? I mean, this isn't the US government one. There's one for 36 million here. There's one with the UK for... There's no price on this one either. So this is just it, guys. Like all the big guys on Palantir, they are just quietly limping into this thing, going, yeah, we like it a little bit more. Yeah, we like it a little bit more. They're not really trying to make waves on Palantir, which should be a good sign for most of you that, like, they want in, but they don't want people watching it, right? Goldman Sachs has Palantir at 10. Credit Suisse has Palantir at 11. Morgan Stanley has it at 13. Jefferies has it at 13.
Couldn't it get cucked by the vaccine coming out? Then they're like, why do we have to test and trace? We have the vaccine.
No, you still need to test and trace. You're still going to have outbreaks.
I'd say temporary control, if not future use for future. They can
Outbreaks.
pitch it as like, yeah, future outbreaks and stuff.
I think one of the big things that we need to take into account that I'm not hearing, like less and less people seem to be talking about this now, and it's really surprising to me, is not everybody's going to get this freaking vaccine. There are a lot of people out there that are like, no, I'm good, thanks. You guys rush the hell out of this.
I mean, polio still somewhat exists, but
not in North America. But yeah, I
Yeah.
get what you mean. But more so, like this vaccine was rushed. They cut the red tape all over on this thing, right? I am not rushing out to take this vaccine. My kids are not in a vulnerable sector. They are not rushing out to get this vaccine.
You guys are in the middle of nowhere, homeschooled. Like,
Yep.
you guys don't go anywhere.
Yep.
I don't know.
Now, both of my parents are immunocompromised, and they haven't been able to leave the house in like 9 months, and they have my sister running errands for them. They will go get the vaccine.
I cannot find any dollar value on the contracts. And it's kind of irritating me. I guess I have to go into the filings.
Where did I find the waiter confirmation? I think I saw it on here. Thinkorswim. Earnings on waiter upcoming. So Thinkorswim sent out a notification that waiter earnings were pre-market on Monday.
So yeah, that Chick-fil-A meal was worth the hours worth of work. I worked hard for it, god damn it.
Mm-hmm. Took it right up the throat.
Right at the nose. I didn't think they would go actually. See, I didn't know that the cotton swabs were so fucking dry. I think it was just if it's slightly like.
Oh yeah, it hurts.
It's the reason that why it hurts is because it's dry. It's like going up there dry. You need some lubrication on that shit. Throw some like KY jelly or some shit.
But then they can't get the sample.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I felt like it was touching my brain. I was like, ah! Please
It hit my
stop.
sinus. Like he pushed it so far back, it hit my sinuses. And I'm like, oh fuck. But something interesting I saw when I was at the mall. All the stores, I fucking laughed because like all the stores I walked past, like Samsung and all these things, their doors are literally closed. They're only allowing a certain amount of people in there and stuff. Then you have fucking Zara, doors wide fucking open. They're like, yeah, please come in. You know, just remember to socially distance. I'm like, no one's in Zara. That's hilarious. Everybody's at these stores to like have like, you know, limited capacity entry and stuff. But what I did notice was kind of hilarious because people were lining up the hell out of like Coach and Louis Vuitton and stuff like that. Like that made no sense to me. Where are these people getting their money?
It's called a K-shaped recovery. Okay, so anybody who's in the 1 million house territory, right, and above is doing gangbusters. Think about us. We are on this train of benefiting of the asset inflation train that the Federal Reserve has unleashed.
Oh no, I know because most of these shoppers all Asian.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing is, I don't live in an Asian area, so to see like all these Asians lined up of like Coach Louis Vuitton is very interesting.
Did their GDP go up by 5% in the last quarter or something stupid? I mean, who knows if you can.
I was gonna say, are we talking about Chinese numbers as being real? That's fun.
I threw some shade at it. Okay, I was there.
Yep. For those of you not
But,
listening,
I mean-
when numbers come out of China, just no. Just fucking no.
I just don't. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that. I don't know. So many academics have done studies that they're like, you can tell when you make up numbers because they're not random. They follow patterns and stuff like that. Like legit, it's not like, oh, you might be able to tell. Like, no, it's statistically you can definitely tell. Like the first thing that we did, so my first statistics class, the first thing they told you to do was on the first day, you get half of your grade if you sit here and you fill out 500 random numbers with a coin flip, right? And you'd think that's like the easiest assignment, right? You should just do it, right? But it was a test to show everybody about like testing integrity and data integrity and whatever else, right? But basically, if you just filled it out because you needed to get it done, he could tell because you would just put, heads, tails at however you felt, so right. And if you actually flip the coin, he would be able to know that you actually did the assignment, right? But basically, because most people don't understand that there's a lot of repeat like heads in a row, so he can just tell if you faked it. And that was half of your grade, and so many people failed it. He basically printed out your names and put them on the wall for the entire semester.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He not only took away half your grade, but publicly shamed you.
I love it.
Just
Love it.
dying.
Love it.
That's how cut profile people though, because people do certain patterns, and you never get an accurate sample until a little bit later when they start to get lazy, if they get lazy.
Rita, Cars is reporting Monday pre-market. Just saying.
Is cars.com?
Yeah.
They're gonna do gangbusters.
Yes,
Do they
they
do
are.
just new, or is it just used? If it's just
New,
used, they're
no,
gonna
it's new and used.
destroy things.
Yeah, it's new and used vehicles. I think Cars goes fucking gangbusters.
I don't think that they have disclosed the size of the contract with the CDC. Because I don't see any. I went through their 8Ks and their disclosures since they did their S1 and nothing. So I'm not really sure, because the CDC contract was after, wasn't it after the S1?
On who?
The on Palantir, that was September 21st. So let me just go in their last amended S1. Look for CDC. Contact. I think nobody has, nobody has any idea. Freaking, I knew it when I bought this stock that it would be a black box, and now I realize the size of the black box. Wouldn't a CDC contract be public record though?
I would think so. At least on the government side, you should be able to pull up a government registry of it. Ooh, interesting. Tilray has their earnings on Monday as well. I'm wondering if that brings weed back to earth.
You say Monday?
Yeah. At least with Tilray, I mean, guys, you're still not going to see profitable earnings reports out of any of these pot stocks. None of them are making money currently. It's great that Biden's winning the election. We are expecting him to do things with pot, but currently all of these pot companies are still burning cash. Yeah, I don't see Waiter anywhere here on the earnings calendar for the next 2 weeks. I don't know. It's because there's not a confirmed date here, but Thinkorswim did send out an update this morning that it would be pre-market on the 9th. I can't find anything on their website either. Last time I checked, I can go back in. This is interesting.
I don't know if something happened, but Digital Ally is starting to moon. I think it's up.
Why
like
did we get out of that? Why aren't we in that? Why? Oh no!
I mean, it's not
fine.
mooning. It's up 7% in the last like hour though. It's like something happened. Volume all of a sudden slammed in.
Order cancelled.
We'll have something coming soon, or
is it more of a coming soon versus something happened?
I'm curious because I keep seeing these fucking prints and they're not making any sense to me.
Okay, so I found it. I found it in the award system. Okay, so 80 million for CDC, 15 million for the NIH, another 2 million for the NIH. Let me see. Maybe somebody can keep track of it because it's all in pieces. Anybody want to help me? It's only 2 pages. We'll be fine.
I do want to help you. I'm just taking a position in my options portfolio. I'll be right there.
Anybody in Palantir? Anybody?
I'm no longer there.
I am Slotus.
Oh my god, Rita, look at FCX. Remember when I was talking about this about $14, $15, and you were like thinking that no, it's not. That's usually probably not the play with the gold and stuff like that, but you didn't know. Now we know.
What, that gold was the play?
Gold/gold miners, because what was it? Buffett took the thing GOLD, and I was thinking of taking gold before, but I didn't know which one to take. So I settled on and saying like, okay, well, there's Yamana Gold and there's freaking FCX, and I think FCX looks more tangible, but I just didn't like the. I wanted to sell the options contract into it, but I didn't have the like capital to do all the contracts I wanted, so I just went with AUY because I could sell way more. Yeah, I kind of regret. I regret it heavily. Thing moved up since we last spoke about it a month or two ago.
Rita, we're not in DGLY because we got out at a better exit than where it currently is.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
I mean, re-entry is not outside the realm of possibility. It's just I'm playing it the way that we had strategized, which is I'm not currently in DGLY, so we're not in DGLY. The only thing that we are not in with the churn and burn is Mattel. That's the only thing that I have a position in that you don't, but I took that on margin. So Tushbomb, thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. You rock, man. I got about $3,000 in Mattel. With
I'm adding up the value of the contracts.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, with Wonder Woman being the only blockbuster in theater and Mattel has the toy rights, the top 3 selling toys on Amazon for Christmas were Barbie, Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda, and all 3 of those are made by Mattel. I just think that Mattel destroys Christmas.
This is more than even the article says that I'm looking here. And these are all awards. These are earlier in the year. Palantir has been making money off the CDC for a long time. These are just 2018 numbers, and they've been there for a while.
Ooh, this is getting tasty. Wells Fargo upgrades left, right, and center. Buy targets of 27.
That's interesting because I saw prints on it yesterday.
My Wells Fargo 30 call for April is looking more and more plausible.
They also had their dividend, I believe, yesterday or today.
What is the Assistant Secretary for Administration? That thing got 17 million in September. What is that? Just put that down.
Order cancelled.
I'm liking this
Order
more
cancelled.
and more. I love government money. Yeah, give it to me.
Give it to me, baby.
Oh no, that's 625,000, not million. Oopsies.
Okay.
Okay, I got you, boys. All right, here it is. This is for this year. I put it in money voice text. You're welcome to look at it if you would like. 90,000 to the FDA, 861,000 to the CDC. I do not see, it must be a future contract because it doesn't look like the CDC has awarded that. Oh, did I miss page one? Yeah, I did. Okay.
I was gonna say, I thought there were millions ahead of that.
Well, there's a lot for the NIH. Maybe it went through the NIH and they reported CDC.
Smells like quesadilla day in my house.
Interesting.
Okay, I went through all 3 pages, and this is what I got. 31 million for the National Institutes of Health, 861,000 for the CDC, and 17 million for the ASA. So they may have been given the $18 million contract or whatever, because it looks like the 15 million one has an option for a bonus.
Okay.
With accelerated delivery or whatever.
That makes sense.
But I mean, there's still a ton more money that they're pumping through the NIH.
Yeah.
So it said CDC, but the only one that matched up with the 18 million was
the ASA.
No, was the NIH. So maybe I just don't see this 15 million that they're talking about, or maybe I don't know how to get to it, like for real.
Well, you see that 15 million line in the NIH there?
I do. I mean, I found the contract that's close to it, but I can't find the 18 million that this one talks about. See? Here,
Oh yeah. I get what you're saying.
Like I'm just trying to find out. So basically, the way I always did it was, if I don't know what I'm doing, right, I just backtrack, and then I know where it usually is, right?
It's also contract duration 60 months, so it may be priced out payable on budgetary approval. Government budgetary approval is end of November. So what you may see is an initial, I imagine they'll split this over a 5-year period. So it'll be the 18 million divided by 5. And you'll see that issued on government approval budgets end of November, early December. So expect to see a multi-million-dollar in for Palantir from the CDC in December or early January. They've been awarded the contract that's there, but they'll get paid in pieces, right? It's the same thing with Acrx's military contract of like, yeah, we're going to give you $30 million of funding over 5 years or 6 years or whatever, but it's paid out on budgetary approval annually.
Mm-hmm.
I also sent you a DM there, Martini.
Oh God, there's the RFP ID. So let's just search that.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And we'll find it.
For those of you that have never worked, I'll mute myself. Sorry. For those of you that are unfamiliar with RFPs, guys, request for proposal is typical when you work with the government contracts. So RFP is a request for proposal. The CDC essentially said, we want something that does this. Palantir submitted a proposal to serve that RFP, and they went nuts on it. That's what we're breaking down right now is Palantir. We're taking a look at it. Rita is super bullish on it. I like what I'm seeing on it. I'm not in on it currently, so I don't have skin in the game on it, but I am bullish on it as well. Yeah, I'm definitely bullish on Palantir, guys. I don't see anything here that I don't like. I like that it's PayPal Mafia. I like what they're doing. I like their positioning. I love guys that own data. You got government contracts. My only downside that I saw with Palantir is that they will never enter the Asian market. It just won't happen. But if US military, EU, and UK is enough for you, then I mean, at $14, it's a steal.
So I found the contract. You're right. There's just no money coming out of it. It's just like I've awarded it to you. So.
Yeah. So as soon as they get budgetary approval, we'll go.
Since you have looked at these more, I usually don't do defense, so this is like all new for me.
Yeah, defense is new for me too, but RFP is not as bad. This is not loading the link that you sent me.
Yeah, and now it just died.
Let's see. Let's check in on the second wave, guys, and see how second wave is doing. So second wave inception was November 3rd. In 3 days, it's made $3 grand on a starting capital of 55,000. Not bad.
Try clicking that and click the top result.
Okay.
Does it come up? Okay, so I don't know that it's the top result for you. For some reason, it's sorted differently. But the August 20th, 2020 will show the updated purchase order for 18 million.
Okay. Performance start date, action obligation, nothing. Based on all options value, 18 million. Total estimated order value, 18 million. Yeah. So yeah, you're reading this right. On signing this, they get nada.
Okay. Is that why the action obligation says 0?
Yeah. So they get nothing. They get nothing until there's a budgetary approval, and then you'll start to see payments come in on this. I don't see anything here indicating what the rate of payment is. That would probably be identified in further filings. But what is nice on this is it does give you an end date that this has to be paid out by. So by 2023 at the latest, they have to pay them the 18 million. Last date to order.
So like the congressional budget has to go in and then they get money?
That's right.
Basically?
Yeah. Yeah. So all of the RFPs have gone out for the next year, next couple years, whatever's needed. They go, okay, guys, this is what we need. and everybody gets back to them with all the bids or whatever over the last 6 months, and they go, okay, great, now we've got all of the bids filled. Now we can actually produce our budget. They send the initial budgetary outline to their representatives, whoever that may be, whether it's the Department of Defense or NIH or NIAID, whoever it may be, and then they take those to Congress and say, this is what we need, and then Congress nitpicks a little bit on it. I don't think Congress is actually going to be nitpicking at all on medical stuff. I think that it's going to be carte blanche to just spend. Military gets a little bit more stipulation on it, but I think that CDC, NIH, NIAID, FDA, all of them are just going to get whatever they ask for, I think, especially under Biden.
Just so you know, they're the only people bidding.
Yeah.
There's nobody else bidding for this stuff. So
yeah, and often, I mean, anybody that's worked with the government often decries this, but often the RFPs are written specifically so that only a single company can service them.
Is that true? I don't know. Somebody I know really well does program management, and you're supposed to, like, there's a lot of rules about how it's supposed to be a fair process.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a fair process. It's supposed to be a fair process, and everybody's supposed to be able to bid. But if you look at, so take the Acrx RFP that went out, right? The designation on the RFP was it needs to be a sufentanil drug that is sublingual that can be measured in dosages with a disposable carrier. Like, they essentially wrote an RFP that is the product list for Dasuvia. And then released that RFP and went, here's $6 million for whoever can fill this. Anybody else have a sublingual sufentanil pill that's in this milligram dosage that's already FDA approved? No? Oh, what a shame. Okay, here you go, Acrx. And it's like, all right. I've seen nuclear RFPs up here in Canada. I had a buddy that worked in private nuclear energy up here in Canada, and he one of his endless irritations to me was when they write these RFPs, they write them and you can tell which company has greased the right palms. And so the game isn't really to fill out the best RFP. Well, you still can try to do that. The best bet is to find out whose palm that company greased and get in there and grease it yourself. And that's the name of the game.
Well, that's lame. I don't know. For the longest time, though, what's really interesting about contracting is that my uncle, some of my family were like, you really should go into government contracting, at least for the tiny stuff, right? Because, so in the US, I don't know if you guys have this, but there's certain designations for, basically, they just want to encourage minority ownership of businesses, right? So they basically say under a certain act, right? They basically prefer your bid, right? So
Watch Me Roam, Data Club Podcast. Thanks for the follow, guys. Much appreciated.
Right? Then you get like super preference, you know? So anything you bid, you probably will award it if you're not like a total dumbass about it.
Yeah.
So they're like, you minority women, you should do it. You'd qualify for 2 categories.
Quick, come here and let me cut off your foot and we'll give you a third.
Yeah. It's like veterans, people with disabilities, women, minorities, and something else which I can't remember. No, it's 4.
Currently, sexual diversity is on there too.
You're just trying to encourage something that is disadvantageous for those groups, you know, like especially.
Definitely. All right, so that's Palantir's contract figured out here. Did you want to review the DM that I sent you or no?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Actually. I'll give you a price.
Did you want me to go over the DD again with you, or are you solid on what I've given you?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
So spy YOLOs might actually suck, Rita, if Biden is
I keep
What,
hearing
you mean
people say this, that
constant?
market volatility is gone if Biden wins. And it's just not true, guys. If he actually gets his blue wave, there's going to be so many changes, your head is going to be spinning.
Yeah, the
Nah.
volatility is gone. It's just going to be straight up.
Nah, I mean, I don't know. The Obama year is the only time that was actually interesting, as I remember was, there was two. There was one when Ben Bernanke was about to say tapering, and the moment he said T, about 100 million contracts went off, and when the Associated Press reported explosions outside the White House and Obama was injured.
Okay,
And
but
then we found out it was hacked.
Redemption, you're comparing two different governments, because the Biden government, the Obama government had handcuffs on it. It didn't have a blue wave. It didn't have a blue House, Senate, and office. All it had was the House and the office. It had a Republican Senate. It's a very different thing when they own all three branches, because they can do essentially whatever they want.
Wait. I thought you said last night that the Republicans had the Senate.
They still did as of last night. As of this morning,
It's
I
still
don't know
not
if that's the case.
locked. Yeah, it's still not locked in to be true.
Yeah, it's still 48-48. With 98% of the votes, it does look like Georgia's going Republican. So that'll be 49. Alaska will be Republican. So that's 50. I would say the Senate's red, but they haven't given it over yet.
Kept reading this stupid feed last night saying, "Oh my God, if Trump is claiming
Homemade quesadilla." Mighty Pond, you're talking about electoral votes, buddy. You're not talking about the Senate. In the Senate, that's not the case. The Senate running for Georgia has the Republican up by 2%.
anybody remembers anything about blockchain, it's that if you own 51% of the network, you can revert and do some nasty shit with that.
And honestly, guys, this is probably if you're an American, you probably just want a gridlocked government. That's ideally what you want here. You want the Republican Senate to keep the checks and balances. You don't want this ridiculousness of packing the courts happening, and the Republican Senate will stop that from happening.
I honestly want to know who President Xi Jinping wants to win. Because that's going to determine the answer.
That's a no-brainer. China wants Biden to win. Are you kidding?
So Biden's going to win, unfortunately. As it pains me to say it.
Biden's line on China was, China is not our enemy, they are our friends, which is a massive difference.
Is he serious?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing, is like, people can never undertake short-term pain for the greater benefit. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but China is a threat. No, fight me on this one. Anybody. It is an existential threat to the freedom of and the sovereignty of the United States.
Do you want me to do I can do a devil's advocate if you want.
They have shown that they do not care to fuck with us on a repeated basis. They are absolutely not even close to our friends. Not even a frenemy, okay? Not even a frenemy.
But Rita, China wants to purchase trillions of dollars. Hey. Easy, England. But Rita, China is willing to purchase trillions of dollars of agriculture from us. Does that not make them our friends?
Oh God.
The agriculture that they turned to Brazil for that they couldn't fill.
But Rita, doesn't the increase of income into the Chinese market that we are also seeing invest in the U.S. markets, isn't that a good thing for us to ally ourselves with China in that way?
I don't.
I'm saying these things because these are the devil advocate arguments on these guys.
I mean, okay, so somebody throws pennies at your feet and you jump down and get it, but then you miss the thousands of dollars that are right there on the table because you're too stupid to see them. Like, I don't know.
But Rita, the government is bad.
The agricultural gains on a U.S. service-based economy are a pittance compared to the intellectual property theft that we give up as in trade for that benefit.
I mean, like, one of the bigger edges you guys have is you guys have U.S. steel, and it's some of the highest quality steel in the world. China has shitty versions of that, but I mean, agriculture is nothing. Like, they were buying the agriculture from Brazil, and I don't think I'm not sure. From what I remember, I don't think Brazil could have kept up with the demand. But I don't think China really demanded it. I think they just had a trade deal in place to try to make the U.S. feel like, oh, they're being left out.
Look, the great mistake of the Democratic brain trust is that somehow, if you talk to a bully won't beat the shit out of you. And they beat the shit out of us constantly. Almost every action is hostile, and yet we allow it to happen because we have some weird thing where we have a policy of appeasement for this sort of thing. I don't get it. It's not working. It's obviously not working. As of the WTO, where everyone thought if we would expose the Chinese population to Western ideals, that it would somehow rub off on them, and it government-wise, and it didn't.
That's more
What it did is it weaponized
for not only China, but the United States and the rest of the world. Rising China is a positive development. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. We want to see.
Hold on.
All
right, guys, watch. I've got the video. I've got the video here of that they ran. In regards to U.S. workers. So
hold on. An ad's playing. Hold on, give me about 30 seconds. An ad's playing.
My problem is I voted for NAFTA.
All right, we're waiting 30 seconds here.
I'm supporting NAFTA because I think it is a positive thing to do.
NAFTA was a crap
deal. I do not pretend to be an expert on international trade matters.
Trade agreements like NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, which forced American workers to compete against people who are making pennies an hour, has resulted in the loss of 160,000 jobs.
The president is absolutely right when he says that China has been cheating for 25 years and that Bill Clinton didn't do enough about it, George W. Bush didn't do enough about it, Barack Obama didn't do enough about it.
Rising China is an incredibly positive development for not only China, but the United States and the rest of the world. Rising China is a positive development. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. We want to see China rise. China is a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion. China is not our enemy. We talk about China as our competitor. We should be helping. The idea that China is going to eat our lunch is bizarre. The idea that they are our competition, they're going to beat us, is bizarre. They're not bad folks. China's not a problem.
Allowing China into the World Trade Organization, which he supported, extending most favored nation status to China, which he supported, those steps allowed China to take advantage of the United States by using our own open trade deals against us.
No.
Do you think in retrospect that you were naive about China?
No.
But doesn't he deserve some credit for that? It's better. The USMCA is better than NAFTA.
It is better than NAFTA. You know, we have to come together. That's why I'm running.
This is 4 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing. What don't I like about NAFTA? What don't I like about NAFTA? I like NAFTA as a Canadian because Canada had a sweet deal under NAFTA. We got everything we wanted and we didn't get anything we didn't. NAFTA was phenomenal for Canada. Mexico got everything it wanted because it got all kinds of automotive shipped down to Mexico. It was fantastic. International trade loved it. Europe loved it. Asia loved it. Everybody loved it. The only people that got screwed in NAFTA were the Americans, which everybody seemed to love. The USMCA went the different way, though. USMCA definitely is not a good thing for Canada. We got our ass handed to us on that one. Same thing with Mexico and China. You can tell the phase 1 China trade deal. They signed it. They're not happy about it, but they signed it.
Here's the thing, right? So you have to think about all the shit you get versus the shit that you give up. And for some reason, even though the FBI sits out there and basically calls it out, like the director of the FBI says, China has helped and doesn't give a shit about companies stealing intellectual property from the United States. And the companies say that it totals $500 billion a year. May I remind you that the US economy is only $2 trillion. They steal a quarter. They steal a quarter of our economy each year. In IP theft alone. Okay? And then you look at China, you know what they do? They go around to these smaller countries and they loan them a bunch of money. They're in Africa, they're in Central America, they're in South America. And they help them with infrastructure. Sounds peachy and rosy, but what they don't understand is it's trapped. They give them so much money that nobody has a hope of paying it off. But when somebody's giving you free money, you accept it, right? The Chinese are so smart. They are on a 5-head level.
Yep.
Because they think 100 years out. And we think in front of our face. It is hilarious, right?
Yeah. Yeah. After the red wall fall in Russia, guys, people thought Putin was a joke. He thought he was an idiot. He thought he was some kind of a moron. Who's laughing now? Russia is also a 5-head country. China is a 5-head country. They are not playing for this year, 5 years, 10 years. They are playing for the next 40.
The best part is that it's like, oh, we just don't have to pay you. Okay, so then we'll go to war. Good luck trying to afford all the ordnance that you need in these poor countries.
There's a lot of people that are saying, well, it's a good thing that China's going to be paying fairer wages. Who the hell is regulating that? Who's watching that? Who is actually verifying that?
Just because you read that shit on like South China Post or something like that does not make that true.
No. Yeah.
The problem is that there's always losers and winners, and what you have to do is you have to look at the amounts, right?
Wait, Rita, are you telling us it's a zero-sum game?
Yeah, it absolutely is between countries. Yeah.
Rita, like according to this one idiot, he says that that's not true. It's never a zero-sum game.
With the phase 1 Chinese trade deal, guys. The importance with that one was Trump recognized no one needs to verify that China's actually going to increase their wages as part of a trade deal. China's not paying their people any more than they have been. The people at the top are getting richer. This is the common thing that you see in socialism is when more profits are to be made, the profits go to the top. Cream rises, right? That's what happens.
You guys are thinking. Well, I mean, your viewers are thinking in a sense where, there's actually democracy and the human rights and stuff like that. You know what human rights are in China? How much money do you have? Is your uncle an official? No? Okay. Then you guys have nothing.
You know the whole thing you guys enjoy, guilty before or innocent. I said it backwards. Innocent before guilty. Yeah.
I was going to say depends
No,
on
you're
the
right.
charge. It
No,
could be
you're
guilty
right.
before innocent. But yes,
I
the
believe Johnny
premise
Depp
of
was-
innocent before guilty should be there.
Look at what they did with Johnny Depp.
Smarsh, the difference between what's happening in the US and what's happening in China is all throughout the US, you have a left lean that is constantly keeping its eyes on the top 1% Occupy movement nonsense. That's not in China. That doesn't happen there. Because if you are an outspoken critic of the upper tier of the Democratic Communist Party in China, you just disappear. That's from Tiananmen till now. Like that hasn't changed.
The nicest analogy I can give right now is look at what happened to Johnny Depp. He had hours and hours of full-on evidence, outright video evidence, recording and everything, outright testimonials and everything as well. He still lost. That's basically the future you're looking at. That's basically the light version of China.
So in the US, you hear a dialogue. There's a back and forth. There is a loud opposition on either side. If the Democrats are in, the Republicans are loud. If the Republicans are in, the Democrats are loud. In China, there is no counterparty argument. That doesn't exist. There is no counterparty. You are either the People's Party or you're not. What does that mean? Keeping eyes on the elites? That means if you see flagrant fraud or greasing of government systems in order to acquire advantage in business or in order for them to skirt economic requirements, ecological requirements, human rights requirements, if people can just grease palms to make those problems go away in China, nobody's going to speak out against it.
There is no equity anywhere. Honestly, like
there's a reason why the Asian markets are still not dedicated to the Chinese market. It's on the basis of Hong Kong, up until now, up until China's involvement, has been an isolated market from China that you can trade the Asian region without the Chinese government interfering. Japan is an Asian market that you can play the Asian market without risk of the Chinese government interfering. The risk in the Hang Seng now is China's interference. China is known for devaluing their currency. China is known for people grease palms in every country. This is true, but when people grease palms in most first world countries, there is somebody watching for them to do it and to call them out on it, right?
If
so
you want to see
you guys would say, well, look at Trump with Russia. Well, the only reason you know about Trump and Russia is because the Democrats were very quick to point it out and scream and yell and make sure you knew. What about Biden with Russia or with Ukraine? The only reason we know about that is because the Republicans were loud and proud to scream and yell and shout that until you knew about it. In
and
China,
they didn't disappear when they made the claims.
Yeah.
You want to know what you're
in China, that doesn't happen. There is no second side.
You want to know what you're in for? Check out a book called The Confessions of an Economic Hitman. These people burned. These people bought crop futures or wheat futures and stuff like that in Asia, and they sent in people to go burn crop fields, just so that it would limit the production supply, drive up prices.
Chem Life, no. So what I'm doing is I'm not equating them. I'm not saying they're equal. I was providing examples of both sides of the aisle. So when the Democrats saw something that they thought was wrong, they were outspoken about it, both in the press and in government, and they didn't disappear from existence. On the other side, when the Republicans saw that they thought Biden had done something wrong, they were loud and vocal about that, and they didn't disappear from existence. In China, there isn't that other side.
Sorry, I'll mute myself. Weird. It's like I mute myself.
Yeah,
Man,
it wasn't about equivalency. It was just to show
shade.
that there are two sides constantly watching for the other one to screw up, and they're vocal about it when it happens. That doesn't
This
exist
is
in China.
constant. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, so Rita, the more foreign stuff.
I tried, Free Mystic. I tried. Oh God, I thought I muted. God damn.
Rita, so there's there's two. There's one is UUP, so dollar, not surprised because bonds and stuff. And there's IEMG. I believe this is a foreign emerging market ETF. Yep, I was right. Emerging markets. I don't give a shit about the emerging market one, but UUP is interesting. 24.96. We're currently below, and we are below the previous. Wow, we really did a lot of step downs on the dollar.
I mean, that's a bold assertion at 4C. I'd love to see an actual bill that Trump put into place to jail the free press. I think over the past year, we've done enough to see that there have been fraudulent stories out of the press. There has been accurate press, but by and whole, I don't know anybody. I mean, we've been talking about this a lot in the last week and a half. I don't know anybody in this Discord that is, even yesterday when we were creating a list of valued sources of journalistic integrity, the majority of mainstream media didn't come above a C rating. And that was by consensus in the group. That's not by somebody who's a right-wing nutter like me. That's a consensus in a group that the mainstream media sources, whether it's the right or the left, Fox, CNN, it doesn't matter, NBC, ABC, all of them, their inherent lean to bias and political rivalry made it less about journalism. Free press was pretty much there. Trump does want to change the free press, that's for sure. He wants all the press to be labeled press, so that's the Section 230 change, but that's bipartisan, so the Democrats want that as well. Trump has been floating jailing the press. I mean, I've heard that narrative, but I haven't actually seen anything as far as legislation introduced to say that. I want to go to the moon one day, but until I buy the ticket, it's not really a thing, right? Nixon.
So I figured out how to put all your names on my screen and that they light up when you guys talk. Look.
Yeah, I know about that. It's when you click on the Money Talks thing, and then it just shows everybody in like a little board.
The issue with changing the election processes in the states is it's not a federal mandate. It's a state by state thing.
It's definitely going to be nerd talk. Me and Millennial are going to nerd out with some stocks.
Oh, I didn't know you started streaming.
I did. I thought I announced it before.
I thought it was a question.
And I said I'm going to.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Folks keep talking about another civil war, but one side has about 8 trillion bullets, the other side doesn't know which bathroom to use.
Smarched with there is no legislation. We actually have a 40-year track record of Biden's voting. We have a wealth of legislation to back what we see Biden doing and what he intends to do moving forward. He has 4 decades of voting for us to break down and analyze. So when we talk about Biden's limp-wristed approach to NAFTA, when we talk about Biden's flip-flopping on racial matters, on LGBTQ rights, there's 40 years of it. That's an interesting line that Trump's fawning over Xi and Putin. China got cucked in the first phase trade deal.
Random shit. No event today.
Yeah, I'm universal healthcare is not going to happen in the States. That's just not going to happen. But no, so Smarsh. So what you're doing here is you're mixing 2 completely different things. What we were saying is in China, there is no rival party. There is a party, because if you are rival to the main party in China, you go away. You don't get that.
So right now what we're talking about, guys, for those of you who have just joined, we're kind of having a discussion.
It was empty, but I found that very interesting.
Well, they've had that for a while, right? Have you seen that, Millennial?
Sorry, just 1 second. Chem, like the U.S. had its trade deficit increase with China. Yeah, there were no mitigating factors like a global economic shutdown that might have affected that. Yeah, there was. There was COVID that happened through phase 1 trade deal. But I guarantee you that Biden's going to come out looking fantastic as China has to honor their phase 1 trade deal into the start of his presidency. He'll be doing quite well off that. But that won't be credited to Trump. That'll be Biden saved the economy, right? Because China paid. I mean, you could try. Come to Canada, see what happens.
Would that mean we're getting back into the World Health Organization too?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I imagine that we would see the U.S. re-enter the World Health Organization if we're getting back into Paris. Well, if you guys are getting back into Paris, Canada never left. Acrx did take a beating. Absolutely. Absolutely. Exiled. Magna is crushing it. What do you think that plays? I am still bullish now. Yeah.
Magna Steyr?
Isn't Magna the company that's with that's working with Fisker?
Yeah, they work with, if it's the same Magna, they work with a lot of OEMs. So they're huge. They work with, BMW, Mercedes, VW Group. Yeah, they're a tank. They will literally build a factory to take care of your production. They're monstrous. I would never bet against them as long as auto's strong, or projected to be strong. They're going to do great. They're great.
I can't take Fisker seriously though.
Year
Fisker
one
are like a fraction of a % of their concern. They don't give a shit about Fisker.
Year one of any government, I don't give credit to the incoming government. Year one is not their doing. Year one is the results of the previous term. I don't give them credit for the fiscal policy there. 2, 3, and 4, and year one of the subsequent term, I give to that government. So the increase in the stock market, the increase in general wealth, the overall decrease in unemployment in the U.S., the increase in industry, as well as the results that we're going to see in recovery in the U.S. into Q1. It's pretty crazy. Doesn't Canada have a 50% income tax or something due to universal healthcare? No, we pay 15% tax on everything. Absolutely everything. Go to the store, food we don't, but everything else we pay 15% tax on everything, which is a large part of it. And then anything that you have as capital gains is 50% taxable, but your income isn't. And then we have a graduated taxing brackets, very similar to the U.S.
Are we going to talk about Fisker or just Magna?
I mean, Fisker for me is going to benefit off of Magna.
But one other thing with Magna, so it's not so much a big deal because Fisker did it, but considerations for their EV platform should be made because it is rumored to be very good, if not better, at least on par with VW's ID3 platform. I think theirs is the EVP or the EVF platform, and it's apparently very, very good.
It's just Fisker's on a dip right now, right? Which was expected, but they've got
just a gully.
Yeah. It's just a little gully.
Just a little gully. You know, it's okay. By the way, Magna is tradable. It's MGA on
Yeah.
the NYSE.
Yeah, and so I was looking at its earning results, but for me with Fisker at 1050, Q1, Q2 next year, they've got positive catalysts, and I'm wondering with Magna's success if that makes me bullish on them or not. I guess I have to really start learning EV, huh?
Weird. It's like you bought one and now you need to learn it.
Well, they've been developing their EV platform for over 10 years. Like, they're not just new to this game. They do have the ear of just about every big OEM manufacturer.
Right, which, I mean, we see other companies, big companies like GM, that are willing to work in not an acquisition. They don't want to acquire these EV companies, but they're more than happy to work alongside these EV companies, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if GM's willing to work with a shithole like Fisker, I can imagine some of the other big players like Ford, who haven't really stepped into the EV game. Like the Eco Ford 150 is something, but it's not. It doesn't really address the entire market need. It addresses a very small niche. So for me, it's like, does Fisker have the opportunity for collaboration with a tier 1 automotive in the US? I think that they do. I think the argument can be made. Now, the pricing on their vehicles, do I think that's realistic? Absolutely not. In no way do I think that Fisker's pricing on vehicles is in any way realistic. But do I think that they have a really solid product that's got solid design backing it, great manufacturers, and they've got somebody who is at least familiar with the automotive industry behind them? Yeah. I think there's a lot of positive things on it. And again, I'm not saying it's going to be 900 like Tesla. I'm talking like, is this stock undervalued at $10? Could it be $20 in the next year? I think maybe.
I think you have to look at what's gone down in February with them for Fisker.
Yeah.
In terms of the consistent large dilution events we've got to look forward to. I would not bet anyone else's money that that's going to 20, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I just, yeah. They lost my interest basically immediately on that criteria alone.
I'm just expecting this bill to come out of the Democrat House, guns ablazing for the EV sector, and the amount of money that's about to pour into that sector, I think, is going to be enough to incentivize people to buy up that dilution event.
I mean, maybe.
I guess the first bill out of the government in January will be what I have to read through to come to a conclusion on it. But if the last one was any indicator, what we're looking at is a lot of pot money and a lot of EV, eco, green energy money. So it's gonna be a lot of money.
Why don't we start? Does anybody have see who the leaders are? Like, seriously, buy car brand. Let's just go find it.
For EV?
I saw it, yeah, for EV, because I was seeing like globally, VW making huge gains.
Yeah, in Europe, VW beat Tesla last quarter.
In Renault.
Does anybody have numbers for this year? That's what, like, I would think you would just start there.
Tesla's Western European market share has fallen 33.8%, down to just 13.5% over the last year. Why is it losing ground? It is losing ground to Volkswagen.
Can you give me, if you find something significant, if you could give it to me too, that would be great. Because I can't, unfortunately, because I have dog shit internet, I can't run your stream at full. Like, I can't actually read it. I can see pretty pictures, but I can't actually read it. Oh my God, these t-shirts are hilarious. Because the boys went after cougars this last weekend. Oh my god, like cougars and maybe 3 people. Oh, you guys.
Waggy is a OTC stock. I wouldn't play it in the same way that Cureleaf looks like a really strong pot play, with them having the market share, the lion's share of the market share in New Jersey for pot sales, and they did just sell their Maryland assets, and so they are doubling down on New Jersey that just legalized pot. Cureleaf would be something that I would look at, but it's OTC, so I'm not going to touch it. I refuse to break that rule. One big thing Fisker has is actual footage of a car driving. I suppose it's crazy that that's the bar, but
why is that the bar?
Right?
Why
like
is that the bar?
We actually have a car that drives.
I wish Starlink was a Tesla product. There are a lot of rural areas hyped for it. Well, I mean, I think he wants to keep that private. I think Elon he expresses a lot of regret of taking Tesla public. But if he didn't, I mean, we all wouldn't know about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Look, his ability to capital raise is amazing, because if Tesla came out there and said, "Guys, we're bankrupt, but I think we have a way forward. Please help us. This is our goal." I think you'd see a lot of people putting up money. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't it still benefit him if he took it public and then took it private again, and then just like he had the promotion he needed?
I mean, the advantage from being private is that you're nimble, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be an advantage. I don't know. I think it's a good idea to stay public, because you get a flood of new money. I mean, he on like in September he raised $5 billion.
Later, Chem Life, man. Take it easy. Yeah, and anytime. This is a place where we do that. We talk, we debate. We don't sling mud at each other. We talk, we debate. And I would never want it just to be the sound of one man talking. I want people to be able to come here and debate and rip things apart, and we're not always going to agree on everything.
Yeah, he did lose his board seat. Early Restream, what a rarity. I know. I'm glad you're excited for it. Okay, did you see any?
Hell, AC is up 75%. What the fuck? It was at $7 this morning when I last checked it.
Yeah, I got it. I make good money.
Oh, yeah, that redemption. That was my YOLO for today. The MJ ETF.
I hate when you say, "Oh my god, did you see this?" and millennials like, "Yeah, I saw it." Like everything's like, "Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I know about it."
Well,
yeah.
I saw it. I played it. I was in the play. Yes, of course I saw it.
I know, but it just sucks because you're so good at it. Fuck you.
Like, I'm sorry I made money today. I am sorry. I do apologize.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't apologize. Fuck y'all. My attendees. So my CBay puts are up on the day. That's interesting. So, okay, guys.
I still haven't found numbers for this EV by brand.
I sent
EV
you something.
by model. Oh.
In Discord, I sent you a link that has a breakdown of
EV.
Western Europe traditional OEMs crash Tesla's party. It's just up a little bit there.
Guys,
I know.
DM, or did you tag me?
Hold on. So, guys, I know the beard and the hair is getting out of whack. My barber is the same lady I've been going to for 3 or 4 years now. I refuse to allow anybody else to do my hair and beard. She is off on maternity leave, and so I will not be getting my hair cut until she comes back, which will be in about 8 months. So if you think this is Jack Dorsey millennial, wait until Wait until next November. I'm gonna have one of those big ZZ Top beards, and my hair is gonna be long like Grateful Dead. It's gonna be crazy.
Christ, Toby. Someone in TSG's thing bought $300 worth of $1 calls. He sold them for 60 cents a piece, so he made 15 grand.
Jesus. You bought 300 of the contracts?
300 penny calls.
I tried to get 70. I couldn't get filled. And then so I tried to strike higher, and I couldn't get filled on that one either. So I took my 28 and just said, thank you. May I have another? Right now I'm up, what was it? Depending on where I get filled, 1,500 to 2,000%.
Order cancelled.
But I think I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit.
I'm trying to look like a hobo. As somebody who's lived on the street at one point in his life, that's not a big deal for me. As far as my beard or hair affecting my performance in the market, the last I checked, my portfolio doesn't care what I look like. So I'm okay with it. Now, for all you folks that are used to staring at a pretty Canadian face, that's going away, and you're going to have to deal with that. But I think you'll be able to get through.
Where's that article, Millennium?
I tagged you on it in the Discord chat.
God, it's because you keep changing your name. I can't recognize. It's like Millennial was right, then Karen Millennial.
Now it's MWR.
This is for European. I was looking for global. Does it have global?
It doesn't, but that's the data I was able to find with a quick Google search. So I thought that would be helpful, at least for me to give you something.
Mm-hmm. So this looks like, okay, so Tesla is white. So it's right there on the top with Renault, VW, and following closely behind is Hyundai, BMW, Daimler, and PSA.
Peugeot.
Okay.
Most pro-Biden stocks are going to have a reversal when it gets contested in the Supreme Court. I don't expect a reversal. Expect the brakes. So right now the foot's on the gas pedal. Yeah, so right now the foot's on the gas pedal for these stocks. Expect the brakes to be tapped. If the Supreme Court decides that it will rule on this, believe me, I will be taking a strangle again. Because if the Supreme Court rules for Trump, these pot stocks that have run like they have will go right back to where they were beforehand, if not worse, because they have to live out the next 4 years without pot being legalized across the states. In regards to, let's take a look. Buy-in portfolio as of this morning is now up 31%, month and a half. Not half bad. The biggest winners on this are ACB and NEO. The biggest losers on here are Workhorse, FSR, and American Airlines. Yeah, reversal would be no change of power by court decision. So the Supreme Court rules that Trump gets a second term for whatever reason, and can I explain the strangle? Yeah, we're calling it a crippled strangle, and essentially what I do is I take.
I still think we should call it the Timmy strangle.
I'm not
Timmy.
Why are you calling it the Timmy?
Those who know.
Yeah.
I don't know that you should call it crippled strangle. That's gonna be offensive.
That's why I say call it the Timmy strangle. Because those who know South Park will know exactly what you mean.
Wait, exiled.
Yeah.
I only had a quick glance at IRM's earnings call.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, there was some stuff that I read in there. And I was just like, this is stupid. Like, so they had.
So the crippled strangle works like this: you take a let's say you have a stock. Let's go here. I'll show you. Okay, so let's say Digital Ally. You want to take a crippled strangle, right? Because you think that after Biden, this is going to take off. So for me, I would go a month outside when I see that happening. So it would be the February's. Currently, the stock is at 283. I would take a 250 put, and I would take a $3 call. As the news comes out, one side is going to run and the other side is going to come down. Now, traditionally with a strangle, what you would do is, as the one side looks like it's winning, you would leverage into that one side and just let this go. What I do is I just try to get out of this with whatever loss I can. If it's completely gone, that's fine, and I just let this run as long as it can. And the way that this works is it's lower management for me, where I can just cut this, don't have to worry about it. And now I've got the one side that's winning. Now if it goes the other way, right? The call doesn't play out and the put plays out. Same thing. I cut this for as much as I can cut it for. It could be worth absolutely nothing by the end of it. And then I make up it on the other side. Now you'll see that they're comparative prices, right? 80, 85. So essentially one side, I'm expecting at least 100% gain one way or the other. More than 100% gain one way or the other to make up whatever losses I see on the put or on the losing side, and then run it into gains on the other side. So I have done this with GameStop. I am running a trial right now with CBay. We'll see how it plays out. It may not actually be a viable strategy, but that's exactly how it works. Is you take a position right outside the strike for a call and a put. You wait for the news to drop. As you see the momentum going whichever way it's going, you exit the losing side, and then you let the other side run until you're profitable. Yeah, we just briefly talked about that bricked with pot stocks. For me, I think the brakes are going to be tapped sooner than later because the Associated Press is about to give Biden the election, and then it will immediately be sent into legal challenges up to the Supreme Court. So. The risks to that, not exiting one side quick enough isn't really a problem because I'm willing to lose all of it. So that's not really a risk. The risk is either the growth on the movement isn't enough to make back what you earn on the winning side. So it needs to make over 100% increase, right? So if it doesn't do that, you lose. You lose on the play. So it has to go over 100% in order for you to start making gains on the upside. The other thing is you have to take into account if the position moves sideways, you lose. If it doesn't move at all on the news that you were expecting and it just goes sideways, you lose. So there's big loss on the strategy. And I'm not sure that the strategy works entirely, which is why I'm using it for things like pot stocks that are clearly going to have a lot of volatility, a lot of movement up and down depending on the selection, right? The other thing that I'm trying to play with is biopharma stocks on phase 3 news tend to have a very similar pattern. Yeah, that's definitely a risk. Is if there's not enough movement, you could get burned real bad. Road 2, thanks for the follow, man. Much appreciated. Absolutely huge thank you to all you guys that hung out today. I think that's just about it for me, but luckily, Martini Rita, who is a woman in trading that I am learning a lot from, hanging out with a ton. She is streaming. I'm going to head you guys over to them. You can hang out with those guys and learn a lot. I will be back Monday, 9 a.m. I will see you then. If you're not following, do that so you get notified when I go live, and I will see you later, guys. Take it easy. And you're headed over to see her in 4, 3, 2, 1.